Chapter 1684. Little friend Jiang Qin, I'm really sorry for my sudden visit. Song Yuanzhi's expression was normal, completely unlike how he was in the secret prison. When he knew that Jiang Qin was going to leave, he immediately rushed over. He was afraid that if he was any slower, Jiang Qin would leave this place. Shopkeeper Song, I've already said that I'm not interested in the things in your hands. If you force me to sell, wouldn't that go against the demeanor of a businessman? Jiang Qin frowned as he sat in the room and asked softly. It's a misunderstanding. It's really a misunderstanding. I didn't want to sell this to you. It's just that your impression of our Ganges Bank is too firm. Song Yuanzhi smiled. If others were to see him like this, they would definitely be shocked out of their wits. The shopkeeper of the Ganges Bank could even stand tall in front of an immortal king. When did he become so respectful to a junior with only the cultivation of a heaven immortal? Oh? Jiang Qin was slightly surprised. It seems that we don't have any dealings with each other. If you're not here to sell things, could it be that you're here to catch up? Song Yuanzhi walked in with a smile. When he saw that it wasn't just Jiang Qin in the room, but also Bai Xiaoyun and Bai Fingyu, the smile on his face disappeared and he straightened his back. I'm not here to catch up. I just have some things to say to you. But can you ask these two to leave temporarily? These words can only be said to you. Song Yuanzhi said with some difficulty. No need. These two are very close to me. There's no need to hide anything from them. Jiang Qin frowned and refused. Little friend Jiang Qin, your relationship with Great Elder Su Qian is not bad. He also helped our Ganges Bank so much. I definitely won't harm you. It's just that other than you, I can't tell anyone else about this. I hope that you can make it convenient for me. Song Yuanzhi hesitated for a while but still insisted. Eldest senior brother, Feng Yu, you guys go out first. Seeing him like this, Jiang Qin said. I'm warning you, don't try anything funny. If you dare to harm Jiang Qin, then even if Grand Elder Su Qian stands on your side, I'm absolutely confident in taking your life. When they left the room, Bai Xiaoyun stopped by Song Yuanzhi's side and threatened in a low voice. Song Yuanzhi smiled but didn't say anything. Bai Xiaoyun left with Bai Fingyu and Song Yuanzhi hurriedly closed the door. Young master! With the door shut, Song Yuanzhi got down on one knee and cupped his hands as he respectfully called out to Jiang Qin. What did you call me? Jiang Qin thought that Song Yuanzhi might try to worm his way into being friends with him and earn Great Elder Su Qian's help in the future. He also thought that he might lower the price and sell the information about the Black Sect. However, he never expected that Song Yuanzhi would actually make such a move. Young lord! Song Yuanzhi raised his head. The smile on his face was long gone, replaced by a very serious expression. Hiss! Jiang Qin sucked in a breath of cold air as he rubbed his face with both hands. Why did he keep encountering such things recently? Why did such a famous force in the northern region have such a strange hobby? Young lord, you might not understand, but our Ganges Bank is the same as the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. After the sect was destroyed, we were lucky enough to escape. However, the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy was personally gifted by the Immortal Emperor. As for our Ganges Bank, because we weren't in the sect, we weren't affected. Song Yuanzhi was still kneeling on one knee. This deep look made it impossible for anyone to doubt him. You're also from the Tianji sect? Jiang Qin was stunned. He obviously didn't expect such a thing to happen again. How did you know that I'm the young lord? It was Lin Baichao who told me. After you left the sect meeting, he immediately contacted me and asked me to use all the strength of the Ganges Bank to investigate the situation of the Black Sect in the outer region. Time was tight. I only found out a little, so I sent an invitation to the young lord. I didn't expect the young lord to be so guarded against me. If I didn't know that you were about to leave, I definitely wouldn't have dared to take the initiative. Song Yuanzhi said helplessly. How can I believe you? Although Jiang Qin was a little shocked, he didn't lose his mind. He could believe the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy because he had never been in contact with this force. However, Lin Baichao could shout out his encounter in the Immortal Emperor's tomb, so Jiang Qin had to believe him. However, what Song Yuanjia said could be investigated by the Ganges Bank. Song Yuanjia was embarrassed. Since you can't say it, please go back. I'm not your young lord. Jiangchen waved his hand. He wouldn't believe Song Yuanjia so easily. How could a shopkeeper of a large bank be an ordinary person? I'll say it. Song Yuanjia suddenly became anxious. During the sect meeting, Lin Baichao specially arranged the weakest opponent for the young lord. He even helped you win against the disciples of the Black Cloud sect. However, when you dealt with Yun Zhitian, the young lord didn't let Lin Baichao help. Cough, cough. Jiangchen was a little embarrassed. It was really embarrassing to say this. Young lord, do you believe me? Song Yuanjia stood up and walked to Jiangchen with the box. After opening it, he held up the paper inside. Young lord, this is the information we found. Please take a look. I already know the content inside. Jiangchen waved his hand. Young master, this is news that our Ganges Bank sent out over 100 intelligence agents to find out. You actually knew about it long ago. Song Yuanjia said in shock. You are indeed worthy of being recognized by the immortal emperor. This ability really makes us ashamed. Hearing his praise, Jiangchen blushed. Young lord, please come to my manor for a chat. I have other things to say to you. Song Yuanjia quickly put away the wooden box. Jiangchen nodded and got up to open the door. He saw Bai Xiaoyun and Bai Fingyu standing at the door. After talking to them, Jiangchen left with Song Yuanjia. The two of you, this inn is a bit too shabby. You should stay with me in the manor. I will receive you with the highest standards. Song Yuanjia immediately turned around and said, No problem. Before Jiangchen could speak, Bai Xiaoyun agreed. Even if Song Yuanjia didn't say it, Bai Xiaoyun would follow. Here, he wouldn't let Jiangchen out of his sight. He also had to ensure Jiangchen's safety. The four of them left the inn together and left in Song Yuanjia's carriage. On the way, many people recognized Song Yuanjia's carriage. They were also guessing who could make Song Yuanjia personally go to the inn to receive them. Sitting in the car, Jiangchen asked in a low voice, Did Grand Elder Lin tell you not to tell anyone who we are? Recalling what had happened, Jiangchen asked in a low voice. Chapter 1685. Yes, of course I did. It's precisely because I know this situation that I told you alone. Song Yuanjia replied with a smile. It's good that you know. Without my permission, you're not allowed to tell anyone about our relationship. Jiangchen nodded. Elder Lin did a good job on this point. Young master, why don't you just move into the bank and live there? I can provide you with the best living conditions in the entire northern region. Song Yuanjia chuckled. Moreover, you'll be the head shopkeeper of the Ganges Bank in the future. I'll just be your gatekeeper. No, I don't like the atmosphere here. However, I do have something to ask of you. Jiangchen shook his head. Just as he finished rejecting, he suddenly thought of something. Young lord, what are you talking about? As long as you need our help, just tell me. Our Ganges Bank will do anything to help you. Jiangchen's politeness made Song Yuanjia feel uneasy. It's the 1 billion immortal jade that I gave you before. Can you give it to me? Jiangchen looked at him. Of course, not to mention 1 billion immortal jade, even if it's a few billion immortal jade or 10 billion immortal jade, there's no problem. The Ganges Bank is already yours. As long as it doesn't affect the bank's normal operations, just say the word and I'll send it to you at any time. Song Yuanjia slapped his thigh and said passionately. Even his saliva almost splashed onto Jiangchen's face. That's not necessary. Jiangchen hurriedly waved his hand and refused. Although he liked money, it was far from the extent that Song Yuanjia said. While they were talking, the four of them arrived at the manor. Song Yuanjia hurriedly arranged a guest room for Bai Xiaoyun and Song Yuanjia. Then, he immediately gave orders to his trusted subordinates and led Jiangchen inside. Head shopkeeper Song. Looking around, Jiangchen asked. Young master, just call me Little Song in the future. I really can't afford to be the head shopkeeper. Song Yuanjia hurriedly explained as if he had suffered a heavy blow. Shopkeeper Song, since you know about this matter, why didn't you tell me when I came here a few days ago? Jiang Chen asked as he sat on the chair. Song Yuanjia hurriedly went to fetch a pot of freshly boiled tea and trotted over to Jiang Chen to make tea. It's my first time meeting young master, so I have to observe. After all, the Ganges bank is too big, and I have to be responsible for the bank. I hope young master won't blame me. Understood. Jiang Chen took a sip of hot tea and said, Head shopkeeper, the promissory note is here. The underling hurriedly ran in and said while panting, Go and rest. Song Yuanjia coughed lightly. In front of his subordinates, he still had to maintain the dignity of the head shopkeeper. However, as soon as his subordinates left, he squatted down with a smile on his face. Young master, this is a promissory note of 2 billion immortal jade. If you need money in the future, just ask. Thank you. Jiang Chen glanced at it and threw it into his storage ring. By the way, didn't you say that you have something to tell me? Yes. Young master, please follow me. Speaking of this matter, Song Yuanji's expression became more normal. He got up and walked outside. After walking around the corridor and a few pavilions, he arrived at a place guarded by dozens of disciples. Jiang Chen didn't say anything and just followed behind Song Yuanjia. The underling opened the door and Song Yuanjia walked in. This was the place where Wei Qing and Wei Xiaoqiao lived. Young Master Wei, is the food of the Ganges bank not to your liking? Song Yuanjia asked coldly as he looked at the food boxes on the side. Song Yuanjia, hurry up and let us out. I'm the young master of the Wei family, you can't treat me like this. Hearing the familiar voice, Wei Qing rushed out and pointed at Song Yuanjia's nose as he cursed loudly. As soon as he finished speaking, Wei Qing saw Jiang Chen standing beside Song Yuanjia. Even though they had only met once, he remembered Jiang Chen's appearance. This was the first young man who dared to be so arrogant in front of him. Thank you for your help, shopkeeper Song. He thought Song Yuanjia had captured Jiang Chen for him. He cupped his fist to express his gratitude. Then he threw a punch at Jiang Chen directly. Jiang Chen's face was pale, and his face was pale. Slap! A slap sounded. Wei Qing flew out and slammed heavily into the wall. Jiang Chen stood in the same spot and didn't move at all. The one who slapped him was indeed Song Yuanjia. Song Yuanjia used all his strength to slap him. Even his palm turned red. Song Yuanjia, how dare you slap me? Wei Qing covered the side of his swollen face. The taste of blood in his mouth made him spit out a mouthful of saliva. Crack! As he spat out a mouthful of blood, a few teeth fell to the ground. Yes, I hit you. Song Yuanjia snorted coldly. Wei Qing, bear this in mind. If you dare harm even a single hair of Jiang Chen's, I will surely torture you to death. Even if your father is here, it won't be of any use. Big brother, are you okay? Hearing the noise, Wei Xiaoqiao quickly walked out of the room. Seeing Wei Qing's miserable state, tears flowed down her face. Men, take Miss Wei away and take good care of her. If she is mistreated, I will punish you with the highest punishment of the bank. Seeing Wei Xiaoqiao's pitiful appearance, Song Yuanjia couldn't bear it. He waved his hand and shouted loudly. Soon, a few people from the Ganges bank quickly walked in. They grabbed Wei Xiaoqiao's hands and dragged her outside. Wei Qing, why don't you take a look at the state you're in now? Put away your young master's style, and maybe I'll let you live. Song Yuanjia blew lightly, and the door to the room closed tightly. Wei Qing covered his face and stood there. His body was trembling uncontrollably from anger. However, he knew that with Song Yuanjia standing there, he wouldn't have the chance to hurt Jiang Chen. Manager, I wonder what you want to do by bringing me here. Jiang Chen looked at Wei Qing indifferently. He didn't take this person seriously at all. Young Jiang Chen, I want to give you something as a gift for our first meeting. Song Yuanjia was just about to say it when he suddenly remembered what Jiang Chen had told him. He immediately changed the way he addressed Jiang Chen. After speaking, Song Yuanjia narrowed his eyes and looked at Wei Qing. Meeting Song Yuanjia's gaze, Wei Qing immediately felt goosebumps all over his body. F***ck. Wei Qing swallowed his saliva and fearfully took 2 steps back. Even the injury on his face didn't hurt as much. He realized that these 2 people were definitely not normal people. Song Yuanzhe wanted to give him as a gift to Jiang Qin. Then wouldn't Jiang Qin be a living pervert? Chapter 1687. Wei Qing suddenly felt his body tighten. He immediately took 2 steps back and pressed himself against the wall. If he was given to Jiang Qin as a gift, he might as well die here. It was better than being humiliated. What did you say? Hearing Wei Qing's cursing, Song Yuanzhe raised his hand again. Song Yuanzhe, if you want to kill me, just say it. Don't do such disgusting things. I'd rather die here than do such things with Jiang Qin. Wei Qing straightened his neck. This was his last dignity as a man. Even if he died, he couldn't be humiliated. Is your brain damaged from my slap? Hearing this, Song Yuanzhe instantly understood. He turned to Jiang Qin and said, Little friend Jiang Qin, my gift to you is his Tianfu Bank. What did you say? Wei Qing was stunned. Song Yuanzhe paused for a moment before continuing. The Heavenly Province Bank is in chaos right now. I'm prepared to take it over as a gift to you. This way, you'll be able to live with sufficient funds. As for the people in the bank, I'll replace them with people I trust. The Wei clan will all be kicked out. Don't even think about it. Wei Qing shouted. He endured the pain on his face and rushed up to fight Song Yuanzhe. If he lost the Tianfu Bank, his Wei family's status would plummet. Even those people he had offended before would rush up to take revenge. At that time, even if he died, he wouldn't have a place to rest. I'm not talking to you. Be honest. Song Yuanzhe slapped him again. Wei Qing spun twice on the spot. The other half of his face was swollen. He looked like a pig demon. It was very horrifying. Yes, I accept. Jiang Qin originally had no interest in these things, but seeing Wei Qing like this, he directly accepted. Good, then I'll immediately arrange for the Tianfu Bank to be brought over within 7 days. Seeing Jiang Qin agree, Song Yuanzhe laughed. This proved that the young master was not very repulsive to him. When the Tianji sect reappeared in the immortal world, when the sect once again stood at the top of the immortal world, they could still get protection and return to the sect. After saying this, Jiang Qin left. Wei Qing shrank into a corner and shivered. He had never thought that Song Yuanzhe's ambition would actually be so great, vainly attempting to swallow up their clan. Young Master Wei, I cannot restrict your freedom and allow you to move around here. However, if you have any ulterior motives and want to escape, don't blame me for not being considerate. If you don't believe me, you can give it a try. Let's see if you can disappear from my sight with your cultivation. With these words, Song Yuanzhe left with his hands behind his back. By the wall, Wei Qing covered his face and slowly sat down. He still did not understand what was going on. Why was it that even after inviting immortal King Xianjun, he still could not bite down on the bone of the Ganges Bank? Now, not only was the bank and his clan involved, but he was also under house arrest. Not to mention that his movements were restricted, he was afraid that if Song Yuanzhe was unhappy in the future, he could kill him at any time. Jiang Qin stayed in the city for 2 days. After bidding farewell to Su Qian and Song Yuanzhe, he left with Bai Xiaoyun and Bai Fengyu. After returning to the Kunlun Immortal Mountain, Jiang Qin reported the situation to the First Mountain Lord. I really did not expect that the Black Gate's influence had already infiltrated the north and east regions so deeply. Hearing Jiang Qin's news, the First Mountain Lord took a deep breath. First Mountain Lord, what's the situation in the outer regions? Jiang Qin did not understand. When he was in the immortal world, although he knew about the existence of the outer regions, he had never had any contact with the forces there. He only knew the names of the outer regions. Since ancient times, the outer regions have been one of the most mysterious places in the immortal world. It is said that there is not much difference between the outer regions and our north region, but there are many secrets hidden within. The sects there are also completely different from normal sects like ours. Other than experts at the level of the 3 immortal kings, I'm afraid no one knows what it's like inside. The first mountain master racked her brains and tried to recall everything she knew about the outer field. However, she discovered that her knowledge of the outer field was also very shallow. She had only learned about many things after she had helped Jiangchen to gather information. Can't we enter the outer regions? Jiangchen frowned. If he knew that he would encounter such a situation in this life, he would have gone to the outer regions to take a look when he was in the immortal world. I don't know. It should be possible to enter, but no one will go in. The first mountain lord shook her head. Let's deal with the Citra family first. From these subsects, we will definitely learn more about the Black Sect. When we know enough, it will be time to act. Jiangchen felt helpless. To some extent, the information he had gotten wasn't useful at all. By the way, when we dealt with the Black Cloud sect, we did not get any information from the sect. The Black Sect's leader is a little cunning. He did not leave anything in the subsects. Looking at Jiangchen's frown, the first mountain lord quickly said, That day, the expert who suddenly killed the Black Cloud sect's elder. You don't know his identity? Jiangchen asked. Yes, this person's strength is very high. He is above us. We chased him for hundreds of miles. He hid his aura very well. Maybe he was too fast. The first mountain lord was a little helpless. The 9 mountain lords moved together, but they did not even catch a glimpse of the opponent's shadow. It was indeed a little frustrating. Thank you for your hard work. Jiangchen cupped his hands towards the first mountain lord. He knew that this stepmother had indeed worked a lot for him. It's not hard work. If you see Wanqing again, tell him to come back. I have something to say to him. Hearing Jiangchen's concern, the first mountain lord smiled. If father wants to hide, no one can find him. Jiangchen still had some understanding of Wanqing. It would not be easier to find him than to find the hiding place of the Black Sect's leader. Coming out of the main hall of the first mountain, Jiangchen returned to the 9th mountain. Thinking that Lin Baichao still wanted him to go to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy, Jiangchen was not in a hurry. He planned to rest for 2 days before going. Sitting on Xian Yu's bed, Jiangchen had a lot of thoughts. Whether it was the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy or the Ganges Bank, they were all well-known forces in the North region. Now, they were both his subordinates. Lin Baichao and Song Yuanzhi even respectfully called him young master. This made Jiangchen feel like he was dreaming. Thinking of this, Jiangchen stood up. Facing the east, he stood straight and cupped his hands. Emperor Qianji, I take back what I said before. It seems that you have given me a lot of things, Jiangchen said very respectfully. Chapter 1688. They stayed in the 9th mountain for 2 days. Jiangchen headed to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. This time, he didn't bring Bai Xiaoyuan and Bai Fingyu, but Jiang Yuan and Huafu. It wasn't that he wanted them to protect him, but as the guardian spirit beasts of the immortal emperor's tomb, they should be familiar with Lin Baichao. They might even have the chance to release the seal on their cultivation. Just as they were about to leave, Jiangchen saw Hikari. Hikari! Jiangchen waved at her. Bai Fingyu carried her and walked to Jiangchen. Master, why don't you let Marshal Uncle Bai go with you? After the incident at the Chamber of Commerce, Bai Fingyu was a little worried. She believed in Jiangchen, but Jiangchen's cultivation was only at the 4th level of the Heaven Immortal Realm. He couldn't fight back against the immortal monarchs and immortal kings. With Bai Shuyun's protection, she felt more at ease. It's safe this time. Jiangchen smiled faintly and took Hikari from her hands. Marshal Uncle! Hikari called out sweetly. This girl had been by Jiangchen's side for half a year. Ever since she came out of the underground boxing arena, her originally skinny body quickly recovered and even grew taller. When she stood beside Bai Fingyu, she almost reached her shoulders. But in Jiangchen's eyes, she was still a child. Do you want to go out with Master to broaden your horizons? Jiangchen asked with a smile. If you do, say goodbye to Senior Sister and Marshal Uncle. Goodbye, Senior Sister. Goodbye, Marshal Uncle. Getting down from Jiangchen's arms, Hikari waved at Bai Xiaoyuan and Bai Fingyu. Jiangchen laughed, and nodded at Huafu and Jiang Yuan. Then, he held Hikari's little hand and rushed down the mountain. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the clouds. On the mountain peak, after Jiangchen left, Xianyu appeared. This brat, he comes and goes like the wind. I really don't know how many things he has to deal with. Why does he have to go out all the time? Xianyu's eyes were filled with worry. She had also heard about the situation of the Merchant Association. If you want to become strong, this is the only way. Only by going out and experiencing enough things and encountering enough dangers can you grow. Bai Xiaoyun pretended to be mature. Do I need you to tell me that? Xianyu rolled her eyes. When she met Jiangchen, Bai Xiaoyun was probably still in her mother's womb. In terms of familiarity with Jiangchen, if she, Xianyu, were to say that she was number 2, no one would dare to claim to be number 1 in front of her. Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. Lin Baichao was reading a medical book. This book was already in tatters. The pages were yellowed and somewhat damaged. Some of the words were even illegible. However, Lin Baichao was watching with great interest. There was no other reason. On the cover of the book, there were 4 words: 1000 Machines Medical Method. This was the sect's medical method that Emperor Qianji brought with him when he sent them out. It recorded all the medical methods that Tianji's sect had in its tens of thousands of years of existence. In the thousands of years since the sect was destroyed, Lin Baichao had read it countless times. Great Elder, there is news from the Ganges Bank. Shopkeeper Song has already contacted Jiangchen and wants to give the Tianfu Bank to the young master. Seeing that Lin Baichao was reading, the family disciple came in quietly. He stood in front of the desk for a while, and waited for Lin Baichao to raise his head before speaking softly. Not bad, Song Yuanjia hasn't forgotten his roots. Ha ha! Lin Baichao closed the book and laughed in satisfaction. I think the young master will be here soon. Remember not to make a fuss. Go and prepare. Yes, great elder. The family disciple nodded. In the evening, Jiangchen brought the 3 of them to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. This place was not like a city. Instead, it was located under an endless mountain range. It was like an ordinary farm, but the air was filled with immortal energy and the unique fragrance of herbs. Xanadu! Huafu's eyes lit up. This was the place she dreamed of living. Jiangchen also liked it here. It was as if as long as he saw the scene in front of him, he could forget all the unhappiness and tiredness. He only wanted to relax here and stay away from the disputes and grievances in the immortal world. After standing for a while, a young man in gray ran out of the village. Excuse me, are you Jiangchen? He looked at Jiangchen and said. And I heard that the great elder was looking for me for something, so I rushed over. These are all my friends. It shouldn't be a problem, right? Jiangchen nodded. It doesn't matter. You are the champion of the sect assembly. The great elder has already instructed us to clean up your residence. The man nodded and was very respectful to Jiangchen. Following behind him, the 4 of them walked all the way into the village. At the foot of the mountain range, in front of a very simple courtyard house, Jiangchen saw Lin Baichao sitting in the yard, taking in the shade with a fan. If he didn't already know who he was, he would have thought that he was an ordinary old farmer. Thinking of Huafu and Jiang Yuan's status, Jiangchen didn't avoid them and directly led them in. Young master, long time no see. Sensing Jiangchen's familiar aura, Lin Baichao opened his eyes and walked over with a smile. Old Lin, you're still alive? Before Jiangchen could speak, Huafu's charming eyes showed surprise. Didn't you fall in the battle back then? Ha, come in. We can catch up later. The great elder laughed and patted Jiang Yuan's shoulder. You're still as strong as ever. He. Jiang Yuan smiled embarrassedly. It was obvious that Jiang Yuan and Huafu were very happy to see old friends. Is this your child? Seeing the little girl being pulled by Jiangchen, Lin Baichao couldn't help but squat down and pinch Hikari's cute cheeks. She's my disciple. Jiangchen was shocked by Lin Baichao's words. Hikari, this is great elder Lin Baichao. He's a great senior. Hikari greets great elder Lin. Hikari imitated Jiangchen and cupped her hands. She looks so obedient. Young master, let her play in the yard for a while. It's very safe here. No one dares to trespass. Lin Baichao wanted to carry Hikari, but thinking of what he had to say later, he said seriously to Jiangchen. Play in the yard, don't go out. Jiangchen tapped Hikari's nose. Hikari agreed softly. The four of them entered the room in the north. Lin Baichao boiled a pot of tea, then sighed and filled everyone's cups with tea. It had been thousands of years. He finally saw the dawn of re-establishing the sect. The young master who was recognized by the immortal emperor, the spiritual beast immortal 8 expert who guarded the sect, and the young miss of the flame phoenix race. Old Lin, why are you crying? You don't have to be so emotional to see us. Huafu was touched, but she still joked. You're so indecent. You didn't respect me when the sect was still around. Thousands of years have passed, and you're still like this. Lin Baichao pointed at Huafu. Chapter 1689. In terms of strength, you have to call me senior. Huafu smiled. She knew what kind of person Lin Baichao was, so she continued to joke. This old man really didn't expect that I would be able to meet other people of Tianji sect in my lifetime. Even the young master who was recognized by the immortal emperor appeared in front of me like this. Lin Baichao's eyes became moist as he spoke. Great Elder Lin, why did you call me here this time? Jiangchen couldn't stand such an emotional moment. He even wanted to go out and play with Hikari. Oh right, I would have forgotten if you didn't mention it. Lin Baichao wiped his face and sat beside the round table. Last time when you fought with Yun Zhitian of Yun sect and seriously injured him, I have been observing the situation of this sect. According to the information I received, Yun sect should not be willing to give up and is already thinking of ways to deal with you. Lin Baichao looked at Jiangchen and said in a low voice. What he didn't expect was that as soon as he finished speaking, Jiangchen laughed. What's going on? Lin Baichao was shocked and quickly looked at Huafu and Jiang Yuan sitting opposite him. The two shrugged, neither of them understood why Jiangchen's reaction was so emotional. Great Elder, to tell you the truth, Yun sect has been thinking about me for a long time. When I went to Kunlun Immortal Mountain, even Immortal King Xian Jun was lured out, but in the end, nothing was done. Jiangchen laughed. Thinking of Xian Jun's face in front of the 9 mountain lords, he felt a burst of joy. Kunlun Immortal Mountain does have this kind of strength. Lin Baichao also laughed. So, this is not called trouble at all. If they can deal with me, I'm afraid I won't be sitting here now. Jiangchen waved his hand and said. From the moment he saw Yun Zhitian, he didn't put him in his eyes. The entire Yun sect couldn't raise its head in Kunlun Immortal Mountain. However, you still have to be careful. You can't always be under the protection of the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. With your current cultivation base as a heavenly immortal, if Immortal King Xian Jun sends a few immortal reverends here, you will still find it difficult to handle them. Moreover, the Cloud sect is not as simple as it seems to be. The reason why they can stand tall in the northern region is not entirely because of Xian Jun. Although Lin Baichao appreciated Jiangchen's confidence, he was still a little worried. Don't worry. With us here, if the Cloud sect dares to come looking for trouble, we will definitely make sure that they won't be able to return. That's right, Huafu and Jiang Yuan said together. Lin Baichao was just about to remind them not to be so arrogant, when he suddenly sensed that the cultivation of the 2 spirit beasts had fallen to high immortal realm. In fact, they might not even be at high immortal realm. Your strength, if I remember correctly, the 2 of you should be at the 5th level of the Immortal King realm. Why do you look like you've just advanced to the Immortal Monarch realm? Did you encounter some trouble? Lin Baichao narrowed his eyes. He dared to hurt the people of their Tianji sect. Even if it was the 3 immortal kings, he would not let it go easily. Alas! Hearing this, Jiang Yuan sighed heavily. He raised the teacup in his hand and drank the tea in one gulp. Then, he hugged his thigh and sulked. Huafu, tell me, what's the situation? Seeing that Jiang Yuan had no intention of speaking, Lin Baichao looked at Huafu, who was sitting next to him. You shouldn't ask us this. Although Huafu's reaction was not as big as Jiang Yuan's, she was also very unhappy. Indeed, they had received guidance from the immortal emperor to advance to the immortal king realm. However, the torture and experience were real. Now that they had suddenly returned to the time before liberation, they would definitely not be able to accept it. Great Elder Lin, let me tell you. Seeing that the two of them had no intention of speaking, Jiangchen smiled helplessly and said, When I met Brother Jiang Yuan and Sister Huafu in the Immortal Emperor tomb, they were indeed at the 5th level of the Immortal King realm. However, after leaving the Immortal Emperor tomb, their strength suddenly weakened. It might have triggered a spell set by the Immortal Emperor in the tomb, which suppressed their cultivation. Oh? The Immortal Emperor would do that? Lin Baichao was a little surprised. However, he could clearly feel that there was something wrong with Jiang Yuan and Huafu's cultivation. Moreover, it did not seem like they were forcibly suppressing their cultivation. So, Great Elder Lin, do you have a way to restore their strength? At this point, Jiang Chen's eyes became fiery. The 5th level of the Immortal King realm was enough to be called a cultivator at the top of the pyramid in the immortal world. With the help of these two, in addition to the 9 mountain lords of the Kunlun Celestial Mountain and Great Elder Su Qian, they would definitely be able to get rid of the sect leader of the Black Sect. However, they were only at the Immortal Monarch realm now. The gap between the Immortal Monarch realm and the Immortal King realm was too big. Lin Baichao lowered his head. I don't have a way to undo the spell set by the Immortal Emperor, but I will try my best. Hopefully, I can undo their seal. Old Man Lin, if you can undo the seal on my cultivation, then I won't call you Old Man anymore. I'll call you Grand Elder Lin every time. Huafu suddenly turned around, looked at him, and said in a deep voice, Little Hua, I only said that I will try my best. You also know that if the spell set by the Immortal Emperor can be undone so easily, then he is not an Immortal Emperor. Lin Baichao smiled bitterly. On the other hand, you were unknowingly tampered with by the Immortal Emperor. Fortunately, you are Immortal Kings. Hey, I don't like what you said. It's not like you don't know the capabilities of the Immortal Emperor. Isn't it as easy as flipping over his own hand for him to tamper with our bodies? Huafu stepped on the table and pointed at Lin Baichao as she shouted loudly. Even some of the tea on the table spilled out. Sister Huafu, calm down. Impulse is the devil. Jiang Chen hurriedly grabbed Huafu's arm and persuaded her in a low voice. However, when he touched Huafu's skin, the tender and smooth feeling made Jiang Chen's heart ripple uncontrollably. He even felt like he was going to be intoxicated. Humph! Huafu snorted coldly and said no more. Great Elder Lin, don't mind her. Her temper has always been like this. Jiang Chen helplessly explained to Lin Baichao. It's okay. I have known her for thousands of years. Naturally, I know what she is like. Lin Baichao waved his hand and did not mind at all. After saying that, he stood up and walked outside. You guys sit here. I will go and look for a way. Perhaps I can find a way to undo it. But don't have too much hope. Lin Baichao slowly walked out of the courtyard with his hands behind his back. This old man really pisses me off. Huafu put her hands on her waist. Her plump breasts were heaving up and down because of anger. Jiang Chen's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. I really don't know why Emperor Qianji did this. We worked so hard to guard the tomb for him. But when we left, he did this to us. Jiang Yuan could not help but tremble when he mentioned this matter. Chapter 1690. After sitting in the room for a while and drinking tea, Jiang Chen prepared to walk around the village. What made Jiang Chen curious was that although he was an outsider, the people in the village were very respectful to him. Even when he walked to a locked place, someone would take the key to open the door. It felt as if the great elder had revealed his identity. However, Jiang Chen knew that people like Lin Baichao should keep their word. Since he had promised him, he would never break his promise. Around evening, Jiang Chen and the others returned to Lin Baichao's residence. In the room, many clansmen of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy were delivering medical books. Lin Baichao sat behind the table and kept flipping through the mountain of medical books. How's it going? Jiang Qin walked in softly. It seems that I haven't found a solution. Jiang Yuan shook his head. After coming out of the tomb for half a year, he had accepted his current cultivation. It would be best if he could recover to the 5th layer of the Immortal King realm. However, if he couldn't, the strength of the Immortal Monarch realm was enough. If I can't find a solution, when the tomb reappears in the eastern region 500 years later, I'll go into the barrier and ask Emperor Qianji what's going on. Huafu was still angry. Sister Huafu, calm down. Looking at Huafu's full breasts, Jiang Qin swallowed his saliva unconsciously. He quickly lowered his head and looked at the wooden floor, trying to digest the complicated emotions in his mind. Time passed slowly. The night was getting darker. In the end, Lin Baichao held a lamp and was still flipping through it. However, from his expression, it seemed that there was no progress. After a long time, Lin Baichao exhaled heavily. He had flipped through hundreds of medical books, but still couldn't find a solution. Unfortunately, all the medical books of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy are here. I can't find the answer. Lin Baichao stood up and said helplessly. Although your cultivation has dropped to the Immortal Monarch realm, with your aptitude, it shouldn't be difficult for you to return to the Immortal King realm. It's just a matter of time. I'm going out for a walk. Huafu opened the door and was ready to go out for a walk. She knew that she shouldn't vent her emotions on Jiang Qin and Lin Baichao, but she couldn't keep it in her heart. She urgently needed to vent. Grand Elder! As soon as the door was pushed open, a group of clansmen rushed in. Jiang Qin stared closely, because that clansman's head just happened to be facing Huafu's chest. Swish! Huafu's figure flashed, dodging the attack. The clansman fell to the ground, his arms bruised. Good speed! Jiang Qin couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Lin Baichao was also a little emotional. He lowered his head, suppressed the anger in his heart, and asked in a low voice. What are you all panicking for? Didn't I tell you this afternoon that there are important guests here? If there's nothing important, don't disturb us. Grand Elder, I had no choice but to come and report. The clansman endured the pain and knelt on one knee. Go find the other elders. Will the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy collapse without me, the Grand Elder? Lin Baichao waved his hand. He didn't want to deal with anything right now. He just wanted to sit here quietly and think of a solution. It's the Cloud Sect. Elder Yunlan of the Cloud Sect personally led some people and is now in front of the village. They said that they saw Jiang Qin enter the village and want us to hand him over. The clansman hesitated for a while, then stared at the pressure and said directly. In his opinion, in the entire Heaven and Earth Pharmacy, the Grand Elder was the only one who could deal with this situation. What did you say? As soon as he said that, Lin Baichao immediately stood up. Even Jiang Qin and Jiang Yuan got to their feet. Their eyes were full of smiles. Elder Yunlan of the Cloud Sect personally led some people and is at the entrance of our village. They want us to hand Jiang Qin over. The clansman lowered his head, cupped his fists, and repeated in a low voice. Well, a mere Cloud Sect dares to provoke me. Lin Baichao sneered. His previous weakness was swept away, and an extremely strong aura erupted from his body. Immortal Duke? Feeling the terrifying aura, Jiang Qin couldn't help but exclaim. Who would have thought that this old man, who was so thin that a gust of wind could blow him away, was actually an Immortal Duke? You guys sit here. I'll deal with these small fries. Lin Baichao swung his sleeves and strode outside. Brother Jiang Yuan, Sister Huafu, let's go and have a look. Remembering that the Cloud Sect was a sect under the Immortal King Xianjun, Jiang Qin was worried that there might be some variables, so he hurriedly said to his companions. Okay. Jiang Yuan nodded vigorously. His hands lowered, and his pitch-black eyes suddenly turned into the pupils of a beast. His aura also rose continuously. Sister Huafu? Jiang Qin looked to his left, but Huafu, who had been sitting there just a moment ago, was long gone. Only the faint fragrance of her body still lingered in the air. I'm afraid she has already rushed out. Jiang Yuan had some understanding of Huafu. Many people had already gathered in the village. These were the experts of the heaven and earth pharmacy. Their strength was roughly at the immortal venerable level, and only one or two of them were at the immortal duke level. When they had nothing to do, they were the clansmen who planted herbs and refined elixirs in the village. Once something happened, they would do their best to protect the village. Great Elder, should we send out a letter of challenge to those sects that took advantage of us before? The clansmen followed closely behind Lin Baichao. No need. If we can't even deal with a small cloud sect, our heaven and earth pharmacy doesn't deserve to exist in the north region. Lin Baichao waved his hand and refused. At the entrance of the village, Yunlan stood in midair. Beside him was a familiar-looking old man. If one looked carefully, one would realize that this was the person who took out the Xianjun royal seal in the Kunlun celestial mountain. Behind them, dozens of experts of the Cloud sect had gathered. What a coincidence. I have a belly full of anger and don't know where to vent it. Since you guys arrived in time, I'll have to play with you guys. Just as Yunlan was about to question them, a fiery red stream of light pierced through the night and swept out from the village. Clouds sink and clouds float, stop them. Yunlan was startled and immediately shouted. Yes, Elder. Two old men of the half-step immortal duke level stepped out. Soon after, they collided heavily with the fiery red stream of light. 3 different auras swept out in midair, causing several roofs in the village to collapse. Yunlan, why have you come to our heaven and earth pharmacy so late at night? Moments later, Lin Baichao arrived at the entrance of the village. Looking at Hufu, who was already fighting with the other party, he pointed at Yunlan, who was standing in front of everyone, and shouted. Chapter 1691. Jiangqin is there, isn't he? Yunlan stared at Lin Baichao. He didn't want to go against the heaven and earth pharmacy, but Jiangqin had gone too far. He had humiliated Yunsek time and time again. If he didn't vent his anger, he would become a joke. That's right, Lin Baichao said in a low voice. Great Elder Lin, Yunsect has a good relationship with the heaven and earth pharmacy. I hope you won't cover up for Jiangqin. We're here to catch him. Yunlan cupped his fists at Lin Baichao and said, Yunlan, Yun Zhitian was defeated by Jiangqin in the sect meeting because he was inferior. Apart from me, more than 10 other sects and ordinary people in the town saw it. If you want to take revenge on Jiangqin because of this, I'm afraid it won't be good for you. Lin Baichao put his hands behind his back, showing no intention of letting Yun Zhitian go. It's not just that. Yunlan's sore spot was poked. Yun Zhitian was the most outstanding disciple of Yun sect. Now that he had been severely injured by Jiangqin, he didn't know if he could wake up. This time, he came to avenge his disciple, but he still had to put on an act. Oh? What's that? Please tell me. Lin Baichao smiled. Half a year ago, at Kunlun Mountain, Jiangqin used a scheme to cheat our disciples of immortal jades and Wuji stones. He even destroyed the royal seal given to us by immortal King Xianjun. At Kunlun Mountain, he was protected by the 9 mountain lords, so we couldn't do anything. But now that we're here, I hope Great Elder Lin won't get involved in this matter for the sake of our sect. While speaking, Yunlan kept searching in the village, but he didn't find Jiangqin. That's impossible. Jiangqin is already a guest of our heaven and earth pharmacy. If I hand him over to them, I'm afraid the other sects and schools will curse me for it. Lin Baichao shook his head and said, First Elder Lin, do you really want to go against our Yun sect? Yunlan's eyes were completely gloomy. Although the heaven and earth pharmacy was the largest medicine sect in the northern region, he had purposely chosen to take action at night and kept it a secret. He didn't want Lin Baichao to know about it in advance and ask for help. Even if he were to find help now, by the time the other party arrived, the matter would have been resolved. You dare? Lin Baichao retorted. Why not? Our Cloud sect is immortal King Xianjun's sect. Even if your heaven and earth pharmacy can find experts, do you think they would dare to go against immortal King Xianjun for you? Yunlan burst into laughter. Puchi! Elder, save me! While Yunlan was speaking, two figures suddenly flew out from the sky not far away. Like birds with broken wings, they let out a final wail and drew an arc in the air before falling to the ground. Boom! With a loud bang, two huge pits appeared on the ground. Clouds sink and clouds float! The smile on Yunlan's face froze. These two were the strongest experts besides himself on this trip. But now, they had fallen to such a state without even seeing Jiang Chen's face. This made him hate Jiang Chen even more. Who else is not afraid of death? Come and fight with me! Not far away, Hua Fu's irritable voice came. She stood in the air, red immortal power revolving around her body. Even the shape of a phoenix was faintly condensed behind her back. Bathed in fire Phoenix tribe? Seeing this, Yunlan was stunned for a moment. The Bathed in Fire Phoenix tribe was one of the strongest spiritual beast tribes in the immortal realm. It was rumored that the tribe leader was not weaker than the three immortal kings. The female phoenix in front of him was probably above the immortal lord realm. Want to run? Hearing the shock in Yunlan's voice, Hua Fu sneered. Great Elder Lin, it's not worth doing this for Jiang Chen. As long as you hand him over, our Cloud sect is willing to form a good relationship with the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. Within 1,000 years, no matter what happens to the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy, our Cloud sect will do our best to help. We can even ask Immortal King Xian Jun to help. After seeing that Hua Fu was a member of the Bathed in Fire Phoenix tribe, Yunlan was a little afraid. Don't be so wishy-washy. Don't be a man. Seeing Yunlan was the only strong one among these people, Hua Fu lost interest in him. Besides, after the fight with Clouds Sink and Clouds Float, her anger had gradually dissipated. She dispersed the shadow of the phoenix behind her, and walked up to Jiang Chen with her long and fair legs in the air. Yunlan had been staring at Hua Fu. When he saw the man beside Hua Fu, his eyes lit up instantly. Jiang Chen! For a moment, Yunlan could not control the anger in his heart. His third-level Immortal Lord Realm cultivation erupted. Tisk TSK. They don't even have an Immortal King. Are all the sects under Xian Jun so weak? Hua Fu snorted coldly and said with some dissatisfaction. Yunlan, on account of Immortal King Xian Jun, I won't do anything to you. Please leave immediately. Sensing that Yunlan's mood was a little off, Lin Baichao hurriedly shouted. Great Elder Lin, I'm sorry. Yunlan no longer took Lin Baichao's words seriously. Jiang Chen had first invited Immortal King Xian Jun and lost his royal seal and immortal jade. Then, he had injured all the disciples with potential in their sect. Now, two half-step immortal lords were seriously injured. If he did not vent his anger, Yunlan would not be able to take it lying down. He also understood that now was the best opportunity to kill Jiang Chen. Otherwise, when this kid returned to Kunlun Immortal Mountain, there would be nothing he could do. You actually dare to attack in front of me? Lin Baichao frowned. With a flip of his palm, a long rod appeared and he was about to charge forward. Senior Lin, please wait a moment. Let me deal with him. Jian Yuan's voice came from behind. He roared furiously and smashed forward like a cannonball. At this moment, his body expanded rapidly and revealed his original form in the blink of an eye. Immortal Ape? Yunlan was shocked once again. Based on his understanding of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy, it did not seem to be qualified to have anything to do with these two spiritual beast races. But now, the opponent he had to face was actually a spiritual beast. Without thinking too much, Jian Yuan had already rushed in front of him. Yunlan hurriedly parried and counterattacked. Although Jian Yuan's cultivation was not even at the first level of Immortal Monarch Realm, and Yunlan was at the third level of Immortal Monarch Realm, the physical body of a spiritual beast was strong to begin with. In addition, Jiang Yuan was an Immortal King and had the combat experience of an Immortal King. Therefore, there was no clear winner between the two of them. Kid, you're really a troublemaker. Lin Baichao could not help but say. But this is very similar to the Immortal Emperor. When he first entered the immortal world, he also offended a large number of experts. Chapter 1692. Is the Immortal Emperor the same? Jiang Chen asked curiously. Of course. The immortal emperor was also young. I remember that he was more troublesome than you. There were several times when he was cornered by his enemies. If it weren't for his good luck, he would have died. Reminiscing about the past, Lin Baichao temporarily forgot about the troubles in front of him, and a smile appeared on his face. I see. Jiang Chen also smiled. So, the immortal emperor chose you. Not only do you have the talent to meet the immortal emperor's expectations, but you also have the same temperament as the immortal emperor. Looking at you, it's as if I'm looking at the immortal emperor when he was young. Lin Baichao tilted his head and looked at Jiang Chen, as if he was looking at his own junior. In the air, Jiang Yuan and Yun Lan were engaged in a fierce battle. Facing Jiang Yuan's simple and direct attacks, Yun Lan used all of his skills, constantly looking for opportunities to attack while blocking. However, although his cultivation base was higher than Jiang Yuan's, his combat experience was not just a little bit lower. After 30 to 40 rounds, Yun Lan gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. Seems like the experts of Cloud Sect aren't that good. Seeing Yun Lan's situation, Jiang Chen couldn't help but say, I guess there are other immortal monarchs in Cloud Sect. They just didn't expect Huafu and Jiang Yuan to be here. They were caught off guard. Lin Baichao crossed his arms. Even without Huafu and Jiang Yuan, he could solve today's problem with his strength. Under everyone's gaze, Jiang Yuan's fist landed heavily on Yun Lan's chest. Puff! Yun Lan spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground, landing beside floating clouds. Another deep pit was created, and this one was obviously deeper. What a piece of trash! Jiang Yuan spat, and his body shrunk rapidly. The people from Cloud Sect were stunned as they watched the scene in front of them. The scene in front of them had far exceeded their expectations. Even Elder Yun Lan, who was ranked among the top 5 in the sect, had ended up in such a state. If they were to take action, wouldn't there be nothing left of them? Did you have fun? Huafu looked at Jiang Yuan, who was sweating profusely, and asked. It's just SOSO. Jiang Yuan shook his head and said, even though this person's strength is at the 2nd or 3rd level of the high immortal realm, he has too little combat experience. Moreover, the immortal energy in his body is too weak. He's far from being a match for me. If not for the fact that I don't want to provoke immortal King Xianjun, I would have blasted him into dust with that punch. That's right. These 3 pits will be filled with water after they leave. We can raise fish and shrimps there. When they grow up, we can bring them to the village to eat. Lin Baichao lowered his head and looked at the pits, laughing out loud. Underground. Yun Lan climbed out of the deep pit. He no longer looked like an expert. His entire body was covered in mud and dust, and there were several bloody wounds on his face. The blood flowing out of the corners of his mouth mixed with the mud, making him look extremely disgusting. Yun Lan, you'd better leave quickly. Don't cause trouble in our village. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave today. Lin Baicao's figure slowly landed on the ground. Great Elder Lin, are you really determined to protect Jiang Chen? Yun Lan panted heavily. He couldn't even stand properly, but he still gritted his teeth and asked in a low voice. Old thing, I think you're still not convinced. If you have the guts, stand there and don't move. I'll punch you twice in the face. Jiang Yuan clenched his fists and took 2 steps forward. Yun Lan's eyes narrowed, and he immediately retreated. He knew that he was no match for Jiang Yuan. If he took 2 more punches, he would be seriously injured even if he didn't die. Why aren't you taking your people and scram? Seeing his reaction, Jiang Yuan returned to Jiang Chen's side proudly. Yun Lan looked at Lin Baichao, Jiang Yuan, Huafu, and Jiang Chen, who was standing in the middle with a calm expression. He gritted his teeth and shouted, Take Cloud Sink and Cloud Float and leave this place. Following his shout, a few disciples of the Cloud Sect immediately rushed into the deep pit. They carried the 2 half-step immortal monarchs, who were no longer in human shape, and quickly left with Yun Lan. They came at the right time. If it wasn't for them, I don't know where to vent my anger. Huafu looked at their backs, and the fighting spirit in her heart gradually dissipated. Looks like you've completely offended Immortal King Xianjun. Lin Baichao looked at Jiangchen with a smile. I've offended him long ago. Jiangchen didn't mind. With Bai Xianling and Su Qian around, even if Xianjun wanted to attack him, he would have to think twice. When they were in the town, he and Su Qian had fought until both sides were injured. Seeing Yunlan and the others leave, the crowd turned and walked into the village. When they passed by the few big pits, Lin Baichao stopped, pointed at the big pits, and said to the people beside him, Go fill them with water and raise some fish. Cloud Sect spent a lot of effort to create these big pits. If we don't make use of them, wouldn't we disappoint them? Yes, Great Elder. A few disciples nodded. Back in the courtyard, the crowd chatted for a while and returned to the residence arranged by the Great Elder. Lying on the bed, Jiangchen recalled the things that happened after he finished recuperating. Inexplicably, he became the young master of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy and the Ganges Bank. He also carried the heavy responsibility of reviving Qianji sect. Emperor Qianji, I really don't know if you're scheming against me. Taking out the fusion method from the storage ring, Jiangchen fell into deep thought as he looked at the words written on it. In a forest 100 miles away from the village, the people of Cloud Sect stopped. Just as he stood still, Yunlan spat out a mouthful of blood. Elder! A few disciples beside him hurriedly rushed over and supported him from both sides. Elder, are you all right? I'm fine, I won't die. Yunlan wiped the blood from his mouth and looked back in the direction of the village. Today, his plan was thorough. With the strength of him and Yun Fu, they could definitely control Lin Baichao. Then Jiangchen would naturally become a fish in their net. However, no matter how much he calculated, there was still an accident. I really didn't expect that this Jiangchen could actually know the spirit beasts of the Bathing Phoenix clan and the Immortal Ape clan. It seems that this person's identity is definitely not as Immortal King Xianjun said, just the son of Wan Qing. Yunlan sat on the ground with his back against the big tree. He took a few deep breaths and felt a little more comfortable. Elder, why don't you talk to the sect master and let him think of a way? Seeing Yunlan like this, several disciples next to him couldn't bear it. Or go back and tell the sect master that Jiangchen has humiliated our Cloud Sect twice and again. If we don't get rid of him, wouldn't it disgrace the reputation of Immortal King Xianjun? Yunlan slammed his fist on the tree. Chapter 1693. But Elder, Jiangchen is now protected by the Bathing Flame Phoenix clan and the Immortal Ape clan. These are the top 10 spiritual beast clans in the Immortal Realm. If we offend them, I'm afraid even Immortal King Xianjun won't be able to protect our Yun sect. A disciple reminded carefully. Elder, I also heard a piece of news today. It seems that half a month ago, the 9 mountain masters of Kunlun Mountain and the experts in the sect attacked at the same time and destroyed the Black Cloud sect. Another disciple followed. What do you mean? Yunlan glared at them and asked loudly. Are you saying that Jiangchen has too many experts around him and we're no match for him? No, Elder, we definitely don't mean that. Hearing Yunlan's words, the 2 disciples were so scared that they knelt on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly, not daring to move. Get up, don't say such things in the future. No matter what, our Yun sect is a well-known sect in the northern region. If we were to be humiliated by Jiangchen like this, wouldn't we be a joke to others? Yunlan waved his hand. He was not in the mood to punish these disciples at all. He just wanted to find a way to get rid of Jiangchen. Anyway, Immortal King Xianjun was here. Even if the 9 mountain masters of Kunlun Mountain gathered again in the end, what could they do? As soon as Yunlan said this, all the disciples dared not speak again. However, there was still news that they did not say. That was, the Horizontal Blade sect and the Withered Wood sect went to Kunlun Mountain to find trouble with Jiangchen. It was said that they were beaten to a pulp by the Immortal King experts around Jiangchen and suffered heavy casualties. Immortal King experts. That was the top strength in the entire Immortal Realm. The next day, after Jiangchen woke up, he saw the huge pit that the 3 Immortal Kings of the Yun sect had smashed out yesterday. It was already filled with water. If one looked carefully, one could see that there were many young fish inside. Hikari, how's your comprehension going recently? Jiangchen held Hikari's hand. It's okay, but my talent is a little slow, so I can't comprehend some things. Hikari's little face fell. A 12 or 13-year-old girl was no longer at the age where she didn't know anything. After following Jiangchen for such a long time, she could understand that her master was surrounded by strong people. She naturally felt that if her talent was too weak and could not catch up to the strength of those people around her master, would there be a day when her master would lose patience with her and throw her away again? Hikari, who had experienced the underground boxing arena, was afraid of being alone again. Do you want to improve your cultivation base as soon as possible? Jiangchen suddenly revealed a smile. Yes. Hikari blurted out without hesitation. Let's go. Follow me to find Great Elder Lin. I'm sure he'll have a way. Jiangchen picked up the girl and walked towards the courtyard behind the village. Seeing Jiangchen come over, Lin Baichao put down the things in his hands. However, after hearing Jiangchen's explanation, he frowned slightly. You want to give this girl a pill to improve her strength quickly? Lin Baichao pointed at the girl in Jiangchen's arms. To tell you the truth, it's not too late for a young child like her to cultivate from the beginning. If she takes the pill now, her cultivation base will improve quickly, but her strength will be weak and it will be difficult for her to improve in the future. It will also be difficult for her to break through to the immortal venerable level. You're doing her harm. Looking at the cute Hikari, Lin Baichao really couldn't bear to do it. Great Elder Lin, during the sect meeting, you gave me a foundation establishment pill. Do you still remember? Jiangchen smiled and took out the jade bottle from his storage ring. This can be done, but I'm afraid it will make her relax. Lin Baichao was still a little worried. I think Great Elder Lin may have misunderstood. I don't want to use the pill to cultivate her into a celestial immortal or immortal venerable level expert. I want to use the pill to let her enter the door of cultivation. Jiangchen finally understood and hurriedly explained while shaking his head. Hikari was the first disciple he had accepted since entering the immortal world. How could Jiangchen have the heart to push her into a fire pit? I see. Young master, this is a foundation establishment pill. After taking it, she will be able to sense the spiritual qi of heaven and earth and become a cultivator and reach the immortal realm. Together with the foundation establishment pill I gave you, it will stabilize her cultivation base and lay a good foundation. There won't be any problems. After hearing Jiangchen's explanation, Great Elder also understood. He took out a gray pill from his sleeve and put it on the table. Hikari, eat these 2 pills first. Jiangchen stuffed the jade bottle into Hikari's hand. Hikari nodded and obediently walked to the table. She ate the 2 pills first and then burped. She looked at Jiangchen in confusion. Under the gaze of Jiangchen and Great Elder, they could clearly feel the fluctuations of immortal power gradually coming from Hikari's small body. Although it was very weak and almost imperceptible, immortal power was really being produced. Young master, give her a hand. Lin Baichao took a deep breath and patted Hikari's back with his palm. Immediately, a stream of pure immortal power flowed from his arm to his palm and then from his palm into Hikari's body. It helped her gradually dissolve the effect of the foundation establishment pill in her body. Hikari, hold on. As long as you can hold on, you'll be able to become a practitioner. When you become stronger in the future, no one will be able to bully you anymore. Jiangchen looked worried. Seeing Lin Baichao already helping her, he stood where he was and didn't move. His eyes were fixed on the little girl. As long as Hikari showed any signs of abnormality, he would immediately take action and force out all the effects of the pill. Time passed quietly. 2 hours had passed since Hikari swallowed the 2 pills. She had been standing in front of the table and did not even blink. Under such a calm appearance, the inside of her body was undergoing earth-shaking changes. Whew! After a long time, Lin Baichao took a deep breath and withdrew his hand. Losing the help of the Great Elder, Hikari's figure tilted and fell forward. Upon seeing this, Jiangchen hurried to extend his hand to help her stand up. At this moment, The originally bright and lovely Hikari was covered in a layer of filth. This layer of filth was the waste in her body. Not only had Lin Baichao helped her absorb all the medicinal effects of the 2 pills, he had even used his pure immortal energy to cleanse her marrow and bones. Thank you, Great Elder. Seeing the change in Hikari, Jiangchen also knew what had happened. Young master, don't thank me. Hikari is your apprentice. Naturally, she is the future of our Tianji zone. Doing something for her is what the old man should do. Lin Baichao waved his hand embarrassedly, and continued to read the medical book in front of him. Master, I'm so hot! Under the care of Jiangchen, Hikari gradually opened her eyes. Chapter 1694. Let's go, I'll take you to bathe. Jiangchen hugged her, ignoring the dirt on his body. He cupped his hands at Lin Baichao and quickly left. In the guest room, Jiangchen filled the wooden bucket with water and was about to undress Hikari when he suddenly remembered that the disciple in front of him was a girl. Fortunately, I brought Sister Huafu here. Jiangchen thought for a moment, and thought of Huafu. Ignoring whether the bed would be dirty, Jiangchen carried Hikari onto the bed and immediately went out to find Huafu. Hearing Jiangchen's request, Huafu did not hesitate. The 2 returned to the guest room. Jiangchen wanted to follow them in, but Huafu stopped him. Wait, what are you going to do? Huafu sized up Jiangchen with her coquettish eyes and smiled charmingly. Hikari is my disciple. She just became a cultivator. I'm worried that something might happen, so I want to go in and take a look. Jiangchen clenched his hands. He had just gone out to find Huafu for a few minutes, but she was already very worried. Save it, you're just a golden immortal, and I'm an immortal king. If something really happens, I can handle it better than you. Besides, how can a little girl's body be seen by you? Is she your disciple or your child bride? Huafu threw this sentence, then rushed into the room and slammed the door shut. You're an immortal monarch, not an immortal king, Jiangchen muttered, sitting on the ground with a red face. He was so worried that he completely forgot that men and women should avoid suspicion. Now that Huafu thought he was an old pervert, his reputation would be ruined. After sitting for a while, Jiangchen stood up and listened carefully to the situation in the room. Half an hour later, Huafu pushed the door open. What medicine did you give her? When she came, she was just an ordinary person who had not even touched the threshold. How did she become an immortal in just one night? Huafu's flirtatious eyes stared at Jiangchen, and her tone was a little angry. You're not helping her, you're harming her. It's like this, Sister Huafu. Jiangchen was afraid that Huafu would attack, so he hurriedly explained. Ever since Hikari had followed him, not only Huafu, even Bai Feng Yu and Xian Yu were captivated by her cuteness. Almost every day, they would fight to sleep with her. Looking at the woman who was by his side before, now being snatched away by a girl, Jiangchen's heart was extremely sad. Hearing Jiangchen's explanation, Huafu let out a sigh of relief. But she still reminded him righteously. Don't look at how you helped her stabilize her foundation. A pill is still a pill. If you take it multiple times, the disadvantages will definitely outweigh the benefits. I know. Just this once. I'll help her become an immortal and enter the threshold of being a cultivator, Jiangchen said with a smile. You better remember what you said. Otherwise, if anything happens to Hikari, I will skin you alive. Huafu sneered at Jiangchen. She gently stroked Jiangchen's neck with her finger, then twisted her slim waist and left. Jiangchen shivered. Thinking of Huafu, who had transformed into a phoenix's shadow in midair last night, he suddenly felt his whole body turn cold. If Huafu were to take action, perhaps even Jiang Yuan wouldn't be able to stop her. Hikari, oh Hikari, you've snatched away all the other people's love for Master. Jiangchen sighed and walked into the room. Seeing Hikari, who had washed up, lying on the bed, he instantly became serious. Reaching out his hand and placing it on Hikari's slender and white wrist, Jiangchen closed his eyes and carefully sensed the situation in her body. When he sensed that the immortal power in her body was slowly flowing through her meridians, Jiang Chen's lips curled into a smile. Master. The strange feeling in her body woke Hikari up. She opened her eyes and vaguely saw someone sitting beside her. When she smelled that familiar scent, she immediately sat up and threw herself into Jiang Chen's arms. Master, I thought I would never see you again. Hikari wailed. At first, she didn't feel any problem. She even felt warm and comfortable inside her body. But when Lin Baichao instilled his immortal power into her body, she instantly lost consciousness. At the last moment before she closed her eyes, she thought of Jiang Chen. How could that be? Master is here. Nothing can happen to you. Jiang Chen held the little girl tightly in his arms. Hearing Hikari's cries, Jiang Chen's nose also felt sour. It was very uncomfortable. Master, am I a cultivator now? After crying for a while, Hikari broke away from Jiang Chen's arms and clenched her fists. Feeling more strength than before, she asked excitedly. Okay, you will be a real cultivator in the future. However, your current strength is only at the first level of the immortal realm. You must cultivate diligently in order to catch up with my senior sister and surpass my master. In the end, you will become an expert even stronger than my apprentice uncle. Jiang Chen smiled and tapped her forehead with his finger. Then when I become stronger in the future, I will protect Master. If anyone comes looking for trouble like that group of people yesterday, I will beat them into a pulp with one punch. Hikari excitedly waved her little fist. Faintly, there was the sound of wind breaking. These words made Jiang Chen feel a little ashamed. Have you been close to Auntie Huafu and Auntie Wei Yu recently? Jiang Chen asked curiously. These words made him feel that Hikari was little Huafu and little Wei Yu. Well, Auntie Huafu and Auntie Wei Yu are very good to me. However, they don't let Hikari call them Auntie. I have to call them elder sister. Hikari nodded seriously. It's okay, listen to Master. Just call them Auntie in the future. These two people have lived for many years. According to seniority, you can even call them ancestor. Jiang Chen touched her head. Beside Hikari, Jiang Chen felt a rare relaxation. But you have to stay away from them in the future. Jiang Chen turned his head and looked outside the room. After seeing that Huafu was not nearby, he said with relief. Otherwise, sooner or later, you will be influenced by them and become a tigress. At that time, you won't be able to get married. Tigress is so mighty. Hikari waved her fist. After talking for a while, Hikari felt sleepy. Although Lin Baichao helped her digest this energy, it was still too large. She needed enough time to rest and relax in order to slowly adapt to the situation in her body. After covering Hikari with a quilt, Jiang Chen tiptoed out of the room. The news from 100 Immortal King, do you want to read it? Huafu stood at the door, holding an envelope with the special mark of Kunlun Immortal Mountain in her hand. Jiang Chen felt a little guilty. After all, he had just said bad things about her. Look. Nodding, Jiang Chen took out the thing inside and saw that it was an envelope marked with the words of Ganji's Bank. Looking at the appearance of the envelope, it should not have been opened. It should be that after Bai Xiaoyun got it, she immediately asked the disciples of Kunlun Immortal Mountain to send it over. Chapter 1695. Jiang Chen tilted his body so that Huafu would not see it. What letter? You won't let me see it? Huafu was curious, but seeing that Jiang Chen was deliberately avoiding it, she did not move forward. It's a debt collection letter from Ganji's Bank. Are you going to pay it for me? Seeing the words, Ganji's Bank, on the letter, Jiang Chen had an idea. He stuffed the letter into Huafu's hand and smiled shamelessly. Get out of here. I don't have that much money. Huafu quickly retreated. She knew that Jiang Chen owed Ganji's Bank more than 1 billion immortal jades. Even if she sold herself, she would not be able to get this amount. Seeing that Huafu had retreated, Jiang Chen smiled and opened the letter. There was only one line of words in the letter, Young Master, I have already set off. Within a week, I will definitely take down Tianfu Bank. At that time, please come and I will hand over the bank to you. After reading it, Jiangchen rubbed it and held it in his hand. With a thought, a flame came out and burned the letter to ashes. How much is it? Jiang Chen's actions made Huafu think that he owed Ganji's bank more than 1 billion immortal jades. She went forward and asked with concern. A few 100 million, Jiang Chen said casually. This small amount of money can be easily gathered by selling the things in the immortal emperor's tomb. Che, if Emperor Qianji knew that you, as the young master of Tianji sect, actually sold the sect's things, he would be so angry that he would come back to life. Huafu pouted. Sister Huafu, Hikari's situation is still not stable. Why don't we stay in the village for a few more days and rest? What do you think? After calculating the time, Jiangchen discussed. Of course. Even if I have to live here for the rest of my life, I am very willing. It is rare to have such a peaceful place in the immortal world. However, it is a bit boring. I hope that Yun sect will come again so that I can relax again. Fire Lotus excitedly swung her fists. Every time she punched out, a faint black space crack would appear. Jiangchen rubbed his forehead and made up his mind. No matter what, he would never offend Huafu. Otherwise, with this punch, he would probably have to return to the Qianzuan sect in solitary North City. With Huafu's consent, Jiangchen settled down in the village without any qualms. For the next few days, apart from resting, Jiangchen spent most of his time by Hikari's side, feeling the changes in her body. Lin Baichao also sent people to deliver a lot of pills and herbs. In the outside world, these were all top quality or even peerless quality. Jiangchen didn't say anything and directly put them into his storage ring. That evening, Jiangchen was sitting in his room, chatting with Hikari and thinking about the future. Suddenly, there was a commotion at the door, accompanied by Lin Baicao's scolding. Master, is there danger? Hikari hugged her head. Don't worry, with us here, you won't be in danger. Jiangchen patted her shoulder, helped her lie down, and pushed the door open. At the door, Fire Lotus and Jiang Yuan were standing on the left and right. What's the situation? Jiangchen frowned and asked lightly. It seems to be a private matter in the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. Fire Lotus replied softly. And if it were an outsider, we would still be able to help. But since it's a matter in the village, Fire Lotus and I don't dare to ask, nor do we dare to get involved. We can only watch from here. Jiang Yuan glanced around and reached out to pluck a fruit from the garden. He squatted on the ground and took big bites, his eyes watching the situation outside. Not knowing what was going on, Jiangchen didn't want to interfere. Great Elder, why are you doing this? That Jiangchen is just the champion of the sect competition. Over the years, there have been at least 500 champions, if not 1,000. I've never seen you treat others like this. Do you want him to be the successor of our Heaven and Earth Pharmacy? A young man stood in front of Lin Baichao and shouted emotionally. Take him away. He might have lost his mind because of the herbs. Feed him a few brain-cleansing pills. If he comes out and spouts nonsense again, I'll hold you all accountable. Lin Baichao was a little impatient, but he couldn't hurt his own people, so he could only wave his hand helplessly. There's no problem with my mind, no problem, the young man shouted at the top of his lungs. But even though he shouted, he was still forcefully dragged away. Even when they disappeared into the night, his shouts could still be heard. Lin Baichao sighed and was about to leave when he saw Jiangchen standing at the door. Without anyone else, Lin Baichao didn't change his words. He walked to Jiangchen's side and whispered, Young master, I've let you see a joke. Great Elder Lin, what's going on? Jiangchen looked at the disappearing figure and asked. It's nothing. It's just that a talented young man in the clan noticed that I was treating you too well and thought that I had the intention of nurturing you to be the successor of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. He wanted to come and reason with you, but I stopped him in time. Lin Baichao couldn't help but laugh. Successor? Jiang Chen's expression was strange. This young man did have some eyesight. He could see that he was unusual. Unfortunately, he only saw half of the matter. He wasn't the successor of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy, but the future owner. Oh right, young master, you're leaving tomorrow, right? Lin Baichao obviously didn't want to say more. He felt very embarrassed that he had let Jiang Chen see the heaven and earth pharmacy as a joke. That's right. I'm going to the Bank of the Land of Abundance tomorrow. Shopkeeper Song sent me a message a few days ago. He said he was going there with his men. I have to show up, Jiang Chen said, nodding. Didn't you say that it was a letter for debt collection? Before Lin Baichao could reply, Hua Fu grabbed Jiang Chen's collar and asked with a smile, putting her face in front of Jiang Chen. Looking at her delicate white face, her charming eyes, and her pink lips, Jiang Chen really wanted to kiss her. However, Jiang Chen knew better than anyone else what would happen if he went up to her personally. Cough, cough, isn't it the same if you say it now? Jiang Chen coughed and patted Hua Fu's arm. Hua Fu, be more polite to the young master. Lin Baichao frowned and scolded in a low voice. Humph, if you want me to admit that he's the young master, you can talk about it when your strength surpasses mine. Hua Fu let go of Jiang Chen and snorted. Suddenly she felt that something was wrong, so she added in time. I'm talking about my own cultivation, the 5th level of the Immortal King realm. Really? Jiang Chen touched his neck. Just a little while ago, his face had already turned red. As far as I know, the Heaven Province Bank should be one of the largest banks in the northern region, except for the Ganges Bank. It's a good opportunity for you to take it. From now on, you won't be short of celestial jade. Seeing Hua Fu let go, Lin Baichao's tone softened. Chapter 1696. Great Elder Lin, do you mean that there are other large banks in the north region? Jiang Chen did not know much about this. Of course, the north region is the largest region in the immortal realm. Based on my understanding of you, you have only explored a quarter of the north region. But don't worry, with the strength of Kunlun's Celestial Mountain, it is a top sect in the north region. It is enough to protect you. Lin Baichao nodded and explained. Jiang Chen nodded. What Lin Baichao didn't know was that Jiang Chen was being protected by Bai Xianling. Bai Xianling was the strongest person in the immortal realm, and she could let Lin Baichao go anywhere he wanted. You should all rest early today. I reckon that after arriving at the Heavenly Province Bank, there will be other matters that need to be taken care of. Such a large bank is definitely not something that can be completely controlled in a few days. Looking at the sky, Lin Baichao said as he walked outside. Jiang Chen was about to open the door and continue to take care of Hikari when Hua Fu grabbed his clothes. Brat, I'm warning you. If you dare to make fun of me again, I'll twist your head off. Hua Fu bared her teeth and stared at Jiang Chen. However, she did not look fierce at all. Instead, she looked cuter and had a different style. Got it, Sister Hua Fu. Jiang Chen waved his hand and returned to his room. The next day, after a few days of rest, Hikari's body gradually recovered and she could control the pure power in her body. After saying goodbye to Lin Baichao, Jiang Chen was about to leave with them. However, when they reached the entrance of the village, they were stopped by someone. You are Jiang Chen? It was a young man. Hearing his words, Jiang Chen knew that he was the one who made a scene at his door last night. Get out of the way, we have something urgent to do. Jiang Chen did not want to talk to him. Don't think that you can get the support of the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy just because you won the sect meeting. To tell you the truth, I am the most talented person in the clan. The young man was a little angry. He could not stand Jiang Chen's disregard of him. Do you want me to make a move? Jiang Yuan asked softly. He's Great Elder Lin's man. Just chase him away. Don't hurt him. Jiang Chen replied in a low voice. Jiang Chen, look at me face to face. Are you scared? The young man pointed at Jiang Chen and took off his clothes, revealing the muscles on his upper body. He was ready to step forward and exchange a few blows. But he hadn't moved yet. He was blown away by the strong wind generated by Jiang Yuan's casual fan. Pa! The young man landed on the pile of firewood and only climbed up a few minutes later. He spat out the grass in his mouth and stretched his head out to take a look. Jiang Chen and the other three had already disappeared without a trace. "The next time you come, I'll definitely teach you a lesson." He punched a pile of firewood and roared angrily. After leaving the village, Jiang Chen's group of 4 quickly arrived at Tianfu City, where the Tianfu Bank was located. Although it wasn't as prosperous as the Ganges Bank, it wasn't much different. There were many people living in the town and there were merchants going back and forth at the town's pass. Everyone entering and leaving had to go through a strict body search. Jiang Chen walked to the pass and opened his arms cooperatively, ready to be searched. Who would have thought that the guard would become excited as soon as he saw Jiang Chen? You're the champion of the sect meeting, fellow Jiang Chen, right?" The guard was so excited that his finger trembled as he pointed at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen smiled and said, "Do you know me?" "Of course I do. Your deeds have long been known in Tianfu City. You defeated Yun Zhitian, who was at the 5th stage of the Immortal Realm, with the cultivation of the 3rd stage of the Celestial Immortal Realm. You've become a legend. Our stage has adapted a play based on you. It's very popular." The guard nodded repeatedly. "Search me. I have something important to do." Usually, Jiang Chen would stop and chat with him for a while. "There's no need for a body search. These must be fellow Jiang Chen's friends. Let's go in together." The guard put his hands behind his back and stepped aside. "Thank you." Jiang Chen nodded at him and thanked him. He took Huafu, Jiang Yuan, and Hikari into Tianfu City. They entered Tianfu City. Jiang Chen looked around, trying to find the people of the Ganges Bank. But as far as the eye could see, they were all merchants wearing all kinds of clothes. "Try to sense them," Jiang Yuan reminded him in a low voice. "No need." Jiang Chen shook his head. It was his first time in a strange place, so Jiang Chen wouldn't easily expose his cultivation. Once he spread out his immortal strength, it would undoubtedly expose his position. "Master, I'm a little hungry." Hikari gently tugged at Jiang Chen's arm. "You are already an immortal. Why are you still hungry?" Jiang Chen asked with a smile as he recalled that he had just had breakfast when he left this morning. "Yes." Hikari rubbed her stomach and said embarrassedly. "Then let's go. Let's find a tavern to eat. Then we'll think about how to find the people of the Ganges Bank." Jiang Chen had always fulfilled Hikari's requests unconditionally. He hugged her to his chest and began to look around for a tavern. At the corner, Jiang Chen saw a decent tavern. 2 pots of wine and 4 plates of meat were considered today's lunch. Hikari looked like she was starving. When they were on the Kunlun Immortal Mountain, it was Jiang Chen who asked her to eat before she went back to eat. However, she couldn't help but start eating as soon as the food was served. In the blink of an eye, the 4 butterflies were all in her stomach. "A few more plates." Jiang Chen waved his hand. Soon, the waiter brought some more. But Hikari still ate it all. After 2 or 3 times, the waiter brought them a wooden basin full of roast meat. Not until then did Jiang Chen and the other 2 take their first bite under other people's surprised gazes. After nearly 2 hours, Hikari's stomach bulged. She was finally full. They paid the bill and were about to find a tavern for Hikari to rest when someone wearing the robes of the Ganges Bank walked over quickly. "Big brother Jiang Chen, please follow me." The man bowed respectfully to Jiang Chen. "Oh?" Looking at him, Jiang Chen was curious. He had been in Tianfu City for half a day and hadn't even seen anyone from the Ganges Bank. How come they came to find him in the time it took to eat a meal? "This?" The man was a bit embarrassed, but he still answered. "I heard that a table of people in this tavern ate nearly 5 kilograms of wild beef, so I came to take a look out of curiosity. I just happened to see you guys." "Hikari?" Jiang Chen couldn't help but laugh as he patted Hikari's head. "Master, I'm hungry." Hikari felt wronged and teared up. "Bring us to see the manager." Jiang Chen held her hand and nodded to the man. Chapter 1697. In a very luxurious manner. Jiang Chen saw Song Yuanjia, who was wearing a magnificent robe. The defense of this manor was even stricter than the one he saw in Eternal River City. Dozens of teams of guards were constantly patrolling around the manor. In some dark places of the manor, Jiangchen even found many immortal venerable experts. Little friend Jiangchen. Seeing Jiangchen come in, Song Yuanzhi reached out to greet him from afar. Great shopkeeper Song, your defenses are really tight. I'm afraid that even immortal kings will be stopped if they come here, Jiangchen said, laughing heartily. These words are too flattering. Not to mention the immortal king, even if the immortal monarch came here, everything I've set up would be useless. Song Yuanzhi knew that Jiangchen was praising him, but he was still very happy to be praised by the young master. Please come in, Jiangchen said as he reached out his hand. Seeing this, the subordinates around him were all stunned. If they didn't live here, they would have thought that Jiangchen was the master here, and they were guests. These are. Looking at the three people standing behind Jiangchen, Song Yuanzhi asked in surprise. This girl is my disciple. Jiangchen held Hikari's hand and introduced them to her. As for these two people, great shopkeeper Song, you should know them. Forgive my poor eyes, but I have never seen them before. Song Yuanzhi stared at Jiang Yuan and Huofu for a while, but still shook his head. In the living room, Jiangchen did not hide anything in front of Hikari. Although Song Yuanzhi did not recognize Jiangchen and Huofu, Jiangchen did not doubt it. After all, he had enough trust in Lin Baichao, and Lin Baichao also trusted Song Yuanzhi very much. However, after Jiangchen's introduction, Song Yuanzhi suddenly realized. He, who had always been calm, actually shed tears because of his emotions. It's really my fault. I didn't recognize the two immortal kings of our Tianji sect. Song Yuanzhi beat his chest. His words were full of regret. It's normal that you don't know us. Back then, Tianji Zone was originally a branch of the Qian family. You all lived outside the sect all year round. Only during the sect ceremony would you come back to report on the annual situation, Huofu casually said. Song Yuanzhi didn't know her, but she knew this person. Every time during the ceremony, she and Jiang Yuan would stand on either side of Emperor Qianji. Many thanks for the immortal king's understanding. However, the two immortal kings, if you can hide your strength, please lower it a little. In the current immortal world, immortal monarchs are still very rare. After calming down, Song Yuanzhi's emotions gradually calmed down. Firebloom's eyes were gloomy. Jiang Yuan was also panting heavily at the side. Head shopkeeper, how are you handling the matter? Jiangchen was afraid that Firebloom would be angry. If this hot girl was angry, he was afraid that she could raise this manor to the ground in minutes. It's a little more difficult than I thought. After I sent you the news, I immediately brought people here. I just didn't expect Wei Qing and Wei Xiaoqiao to not return on time. The Wei family and Tianfu Bank have already had a premonition. Now they haven't shown up in the castle. We can only wait here. When the young master arrives, we will discuss countermeasures. Song Yuanzhi sighed and slowly explained the situation. Then, according to the head shopkeeper's opinion, what should we do? Jiangchen crossed his legs and picked up the tea. In my opinion, it's better to use force. Previously, in order to swallow our Eternal River Bank, the Bank of Heavenly Province even invited immortal King Xianjun over, so we don't have to show any mercy. Speaking of this, Song Yuanzhi's eyes gradually became fierce and returned to his state as the head shopkeeper. That's right, I'll take the lead. Firebloom was the first to agree. Such a small matter is not worth the immortal king personally taking action. Song Yuanzhi laughed. The fifth layer of the immortal king realm, even in the Tianji sect back then, was a top expert. It's decided now. After planning the time, just let me know. Firebloom didn't care about that. After leaving a sentence, she directly left the living room. Quick, go and clean up the guest room. Song Yuanzhi didn't dare to neglect and immediately shouted at the clan members standing at the door. After Firebloom left, Song Yuanzhi's smile was somewhat bitter. She's in a bad mood recently, so she needs to vent her anger. Just let her take the lead. Besides, with her strength, I don't think the Bank of the Land of Abundance can stop her. Jiangchen had to explain. Well, since the young master said so, then let the immortal king give it a try. Song Yuanzhi agreed. But I'm afraid it will be delayed for a few days. I found out that the Wei family and the Ganges Bank are planning to transfer their assets. We have to stop them first. Otherwise, we will get an empty shell and not get the immortal jade. We will be wasting our efforts. Just do as you see fit. When it's time to take action, just let me know. I haven't made a move for a long time. Jiang Qin moved his wrist. Since the battle with Yun Zhitian, 2 or 3 months have passed. Jiang Qin has been living a plain life. Just seeing Firebloom's expression, his heart was aroused. Young master, you can't do this! Song Yuanzhi was so scared that he knelt on one knee and advised. En? What's wrong with that? Jiang Qin frowned slightly. You are the young master of our Tianji sect. If anything happens to you, I can't explain it to Lin Baichao and the 2 immortal kings. I can't explain it to the immortal emperor. Song Yuanzhi looked embarrassed. He couldn't wait to directly worship Jiang Qin for fear of any accidents. It doesn't matter. I have my own life-saving skills. Jiang Qin thought he would say something important. Get up. With us here, your young master will not be in danger. Jiang Yuan raised his hand and a strong force directly pulled Song Yuanzhi up from the ground. Then my plan is more detailed, but the young master has to stay here for a few days. Song Yuanzhi stood straight like a student. He didn't look like the manager of the bank. Arrange a room. Jiang Qin didn't feel much about this. In the entire Tianfu Bank, there were at least hundreds of billions of immortal jade. With such a large sum of money, let alone waiting for a few days, even if he waited for a few years or decades, what could he do? Young master, please come with me. I have prepared your room. Song Yuanzhi stretched out his hand and took Jiang Qin and the other 2 away. After arranging the accommodation, Song Yuanzhi sent food and wine and immediately said goodbye to Jiang Qin to deal with the matters of the Tianfu Bank. Looking at Hikari sitting under the window eating roast chicken, Jiang Qin's mouth unconsciously revealed a smile. Chapter 1698. Master, why didn't you ask Uncle Master to come with us? He's so strong, he could definitely take care of those bad guys easily. Hikari put down the drumstick under Jiang Qin's gaze. Bai Shaoyan? Jiang Qin was stunned and quickly shook his head. He couldn't let Bai Shaoyan know about this for the time being. Even if he hid his identity, what about the Heaven Province Bank's celestial jade? Based on Jiang Qin's understanding of him, at least half of the money would be handed over to the Divine Secrets Pavilion. Now that the money was in his pocket, he could send some people to the Divine Secrets Pavilion when they needed it. If his father owed any debts outside, he could pay them back in time. Your martial uncle's power is too strong, and if we take him with us, those people will surely get scared and slip away in advance. However, Jiang Qin surely couldn't inform Hikari of such matters, and after thinking for a while, he came up with an excuse. That's true. Hikari pondered this for a while, and she found Jiang Qin's words reasonable. During the few days Jiang Qin and his companions had been staying in the city, a great change had taken place in the city. Many powerful businessmen had gotten some information through their connections with the Bank of the Land of Abundance. They had brought all of their property there as soon as possible. As for the small merchants and peddlers, they were still living their lives as usual. However, compared to them, the Heaven Province Alliance was the most chaotic at the moment. Ever since a wrong decision 300 years ago, many outsiders had entered the Heaven Province Bank. At first, this group of people had been conscientious in helping the Wei family head, Wei Dashuan, manage the bank. However, as time passed, they gradually had their own confidants, and the celestial jade they earned couldn't satisfy their desires. Thus, this group of people began to walk the path of instigation. They knew that in the Heaven Province Bank, the Wei family would always earn the most. If they toppled the Wei family, then all the celestial jade and future profits in the bank would be divided equally among them. It was a pity that the people from the Ganges Bank had come and destroyed their dreams. Now, they were even facing a fatal disaster. Inside the castle, Wei Dashuan sat at the head of the table. Even though he had lost the support of the people, he was still the head of the Wei clan and the true ruler of the Heavenly Province Bank. Even if these people had rebellious intentions, they still respected him on the surface. Tell me, the people from the Ganges Bank have already entered Tianfu City. You all know their intentions better than I do. How should we deal with them now? Wei Dashuan looked at the people sitting in front of him, his heart filled with regret. If he hadn't led the wolf into the house back then, there wouldn't be today's disaster. Head shopkeeper, we've lost contact with young Master and young Mississippi. I'm afraid they've met with misfortune. The only thing we can do now is to mobilize all the experts we can invite to help them tide over this crisis. Didn't we help Immortal King Xianjun before? Why don't we send someone to sneak out of the city and send a message to Immortal King Xianjun and ask him to help? I think the crisis this time will naturally be resolved. Many people were talking at once, trying to come up with a plan. At the critical moment of life and death, everyone would only think of one thing, and that was how to preserve their lives. It's useless. We've already invited Immortal King Xianjun when Qing'er went to Ganges City. Immortal King Xianjun only agreed to help us once. How can we invite him now? Wei Dashuan shook his head. Head shopkeeper, why did you invite Immortal King Xianjun to participate in the Chamber of Commerce's regular meeting in Ganges City? Below, someone who didn't know what was going on asked. Humph, don't you know? The head shopkeeper invited Immortal King Xianjun to deal with the Ganges Bank. In this way, most of the immortal jade circulation in the northern region will fall into the Wei family's hands. He'll take the opportunity to kick us out. It would have been fine if they hadn't said anything. Now that someone had brought up this matter, they naturally couldn't hold it in anymore. Head shopkeeper, it's still because of you. If you hadn't invited Immortal King Xianjun to devour the Ganges Bank, the people of the Ganges Bank wouldn't have come here. You'd better hurry up and think of a way. This matter started because of you, so of course you have to solve it. That's right, head shopkeeper, hurry up and think of a way. For a moment, the group of people sitting below, except for a few sporadic people, all questioned loudly. Their words forced Wei Dashuan to a point where he couldn't retreat. That's enough. Wei Dashuan was usually silent. Now that he had encountered such a situation, the anger in his heart couldn't be vented. Thus, he slapped the chair, stood up with disheveled hair, and reprimanded. If you hadn't done everything you could to empty the Tianfu Bank and force our Wei family to leave Tianfu City, would I have done this? Unfortunately, Wei Dashuan could no longer scare this group of people. I say, head shopkeeper, what do you mean by that? You were the one who invited us over. We painstakingly helped your Tianfu Bank resolve the disaster. Could it be that you want to get rid of the donkey after it has outlived its usefulness? If you don't think of a way, I'll immediately tie you up and give you to Song Yuanzhi in exchange for his forgiveness and saving our lives. A few other people stood up and pointed at Wei Dashuan. They didn't have any respect at all. All right, after hiding for hundreds of years, I've finally told the truth today. Today, no matter what the future of the Tianfu Bank is, I'll first kill you bunch of vermin. Wei Dashuan suddenly laughed and clapped his hands. Hundreds of soldiers in white armor rushed in and surrounded them. Seeing this scene, those who supported Wei Dashuan but didn't dare to speak up all secretly applauded in their hearts. They secretly thought that the head shopkeeper was finally enlightened. If he had done this earlier, he wouldn't have tolerated their rampant behavior for hundreds of years. Capture all of them. After the crisis of the bank is resolved, wait for me to deal with them. Wei Dashuan looked at this group of familiar faces and shouted in a low voice. As soon as he finished speaking, not a single soldier moved. What do you mean by this? You don't even listen to my orders now? Wei Dashuan had a bad premonition, but he still ordered again with a dignified expression. Ha ha ha, what time is it? Do you really think you're still the head shopkeeper from before? Among this group of people, a fat middle-aged man suddenly laughed. Jiao Xiang. Wei Dashuan pointed at him. Soldiers, listen to my orders. Tie Wei Dashuan up and give him to Song Yuanzhi of the Ganges Bank. Ask for their forgiveness, then we can live a good life in the future. Jiao Xiang stood up and shouted loudly. Crash! The soldiers moved. They directly stepped forward and pulled Wei Dashun down from the leader's seat. Wei Dashun's cultivation was only at the level of genuine immortal. In the face of these soldiers who had been carefully cultivated by his family, he had no chance to fight back. He only struggled for a moment before he was pinned down. Chapter 1699. You are the Wei clan's soldiers, living off the salary I gave you. Why did you betray me? Wei Dashun couldn't accept this fact. Even though he was restrained, he still struggled and roared. Seeing his bulging veins, his face red, and even his eyes bloodshot, Jiao Xiang and the others laughed as if they were looking at a doll. These armored soldiers didn't take Wei Dashun's words seriously at all. They directly brought him and left outside. Wait! Jiao Xiang suddenly stretched out his hand to stop him when he was right in front of him. It's not too late to regret it. Now is the time for us to face the enemy together. We can't have any conflicts. Wei Dashun sighed in relief, thinking that Jiao Xiang had changed his mind. No. Head shopkeeper, you've misunderstood me. I stopped you because I wanted to tell you something. Jiao Xiang shook his head, the disdain in his eyes growing thicker. What is it? Wei Dashun asked. Your wife has already been conquered by us. Just before today's meeting, I had a tender moment with her, Jiao Xiang said slowly as he stared at Wei Dashun. You beast! Wei Dashun suddenly struggled violently. He gritted his teeth and squeezed out a voice from between his teeth. His bloodshot eyes looked as if they were about to burst and bleed. Pfft! In his anger, Wei Dashun could only spit out a mouthful of saliva. Other than that, he couldn't do anything else. Take him away! Jiao Xiang's smile disappeared, his eyes gloomy. After Wei Dashun was taken away, Jiao Xiang wiped the saliva off his face and shouted. From today onwards, the Heaven's Heaven Bank is ours. Come with me to see Song Yuanjia. Give him Jiao Xiang as a gift in exchange for them to stop. After Song Yuanjia finished dealing with matters, he returned to Jiang Chen's residence. Jiang Chen was lying in a very comfortable position on the bed, his hands behind his head as he listened to Song Yuanjia's report. Song Yuanjia also told Jiang Chen everything that had happened. Head shopkeeper, there's news. Soon, there was a knock on the door. Come in and talk, Song Yuanjia said. When the clansmen came in and saw Jiang Chen, although they didn't understand why this person could lie in such an arrogant posture in front of the head shopkeeper, they still honestly said, Head shopkeeper, it's about the Heavenly Province Bank, just say it. Song Yuanjia said. Clasping hands respectfully to Jiang Chen, he said, I just received word that Jiao Xiang is leading a group of people in the Heaven Law Bank who are trying to instigate a rebellion. The Wei clan's armored soldiers have Wei Dashun under control. They want to meet with you, sir, and use Wei Dashun in exchange for peace. What did you say? Song Yuanjia immediately stood up. Even Jiang Chen, who was lying on his bed, sat up straight. This news had far exceeded their expectations. When this person had first come in, the two of them had thought that the Heavenly Province Bank had invited some expert. The clansman repeated himself. How interesting. Let's go and see what they're up to. Song Yuanjia laughed, turned around, and walked out quickly. Jiang Chen followed behind him. In front of the manor, the Wei clan's armored soldiers had Wei Dashun tied up and were confronting the Ganges Bank's guards. Jiao Xiang stood in the middle of them, craning his neck to look inside. Jiao Xiang, don't let me get the chance. Otherwise, I'll cut you into 1,000 pieces. Wei Dashun kept taking deep breaths. He didn't expect such a disgusting thing to happen in the bank and his clan. Pa! Jiao Xiang turned around and slapped him. Dog, I'm warning you, you better behave! After seeing Song Yuanjia come out, Jiao Xiang hurriedly put on a fawning smile. Jiao Xiang? Seeing that things were as the clansman had said, Song Yuanjia asked. Why did you tie up Wei Dashun? He's the head shopkeeper of the Heavenly Province Bank. He's on the same level as me. Shopkeeper Song, we've already investigated everything. It's all Wei Dashuan's fault for being blinded by greed and wanting to take over your Ganges bank, which led to today's trouble. We've already got him under control, so please go back on account of our hundreds of years of cooperation. Jiao Xiang had a disgusting, flattering smile on his face as he nodded and bowed to Song Yuanjia. Come in and talk. Song Yuanjia looked at Wei Dashuan. What about that dog Wei Dashuan? Jiao Xiang hurriedly asked. He wanted to kill this person in front of Song Yuanjia to express their sincerity. Hand him over to my guards. Let your soldiers go back. Come in yourself, Song Yuanjia said. In the living room, Song Yuanjia and Jiang Chen sat side by side. Jiao Xiang sat opposite them. Head shopkeeper Song, I've just thought about it. The Heavenly Province Bank should rely on the Ganges Bank. This is good for both of us. We'll do whatever you say in the future. What do you think? This was Jiao Xiang's first time meeting Song Yuanjia. He felt immense pressure from the former. I'm very curious. Why would the Wei clan soldiers listen to your orders and capture Wei Dashuan? Song Yuanjia took a sip of tea and asked. This? Jiao Xiang didn't dare to say that he was the one who betrayed them. He was afraid that Song Yuanjia would be on guard against him if he found out. However, he couldn't think of any other excuse. I'll answer for you. The group of people led by you wanted to devour the Heaven's Sanctum Bank, so you instigated a portion of the Wei clan's members, as well as the guards protecting the Wei clan. Am I right? Seeing that Zhang Xian had nothing to say, Song Yuanjia continued. It's not like that. Jiao Xiang's face stiffened as he hurriedly explained. Men control him. Song Yuanjia didn't care about what he said at all. As soon as he finished speaking, a dozen guards rushed in and directly controlled Jiao Xiang. They didn't even give him a chance to speak before taking him away. Patriarch, everyone from the Heavenly Province Bank is under control. A clansman came in right after Jiao Xiang was taken away to report the situation. It turned out that when Song Yuanjia knew that Wei Dashuan had been taken away by the soldiers, he had directly sent guards to the town to seize the Heavenly Province Bank. Sipping his tea, Song Yuanjia nodded. As soon as the clansman left, Song Yuanjia immediately got down on one knee and cupped his fists at Jiang Chen. Congratulations, young master, for obtaining the Heavenly Province Bank. This is your contribution. You should congratulate yourself. It has nothing to do with me. Jiang Chen spoke truthfully. He had only rested in the inn for a while when he arrived at Heavenly Province City. He hadn't done anything else. No. It's all because of young master's prestige. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dared to act so rashly. Song Yuanjia shook his head vigorously. Hearing this kind of boasting, Jiang Chen smiled awkwardly, not knowing what to say. Chapter 1700. Jiao Xiang didn't know why he was captured. He was trapped in a secret compartment of the manor with a cloth stuffed in his mouth. He was tied up like a wild boar waiting to be slaughtered. Even if he tried to use his tongue, he couldn't push the cloth out. The next person Jiang Chen and Song Yuanjia saw was Wei Dashuan. At this moment, Wei Dashuan seemed to have lost his soul. He didn't know whether his son and daughter were alive or dead. His family business was about to be ruined. Even his wife had been defiled countless times. He couldn't even protect his own life. He didn't know what chance he had to live. He even wanted Song Yuanjia to give him a quick death so that he could escape from this torture. I won't kill you. Hearing Wei Dashuan's words, Song Yuanjia smiled. Why? Wei Dashuan raised his head. These words shocked him. He looked at Song Yuanjia and asked, I sent people to Eternal River City and asked Little Qing to invite immortal King Xianjun. It's all to kill you. I know there's a reason for this, so I won't pursue your fault. But from now on, Jiang Chen is the head shopkeeper of the Heavenly Province Bank. What you need to do is to assist him in everything in the bank. I won't treat you badly. Of course, if you have second thoughts, not only will I kill you, but I will also make your son and daughter disappear from the immortal world. Song Yuanjia drank tea and said, Are Little Qing and Little Qiao still alive? Hearing this, Wei Dashuan felt his whole body was filled with hope. Head shopkeeper Song, where are they? In the manor in Eternal River City. As long as you listen to my orders, I can guarantee that they will be safe and sound. Otherwise, what you will see will be their corpses, Song Yuanjia said, looking into his eyes. No problem. I can guarantee that I will listen to Jiang Qin in the future. The Heavenly Province Bank is also his business. Wei Dashuan nodded vigorously. For a moment, he actually cried. I will lend you 3,000 guards. You can take them to solve the problem you want to solve. Come back here before dark and acknowledge Jiang Qin as your young master. From then on, you will follow his and my orders. Song Yuanjia placed a wooden tablet on the table. This was the commander's seal that could mobilize the guards of Eternal River City. Where is Jiao Xiang? Wei Dashuan sat still. Lock him up. I can help you deal with him. What you need to deal with are other things. Let the Heavenly Province Bank regain its calm so that Jiang Qin can smoothly take over, said Song Yuanjia. Thank you, head shopkeeper Song. Without hesitation, Jiao Xiang took the wooden medallion and left. Young master, from tonight onwards, the Heavenly Province Bank will be yours. I will also help you deal with it, but all the profits will be yours. Song Yuanjia recovered his previous humility and whispered to Jiang Qin. Well done. Jiang Qin nodded in satisfaction. For young master, we can do anything. Song Yuanjia hurriedly expressed his attitude. A few hours later, Jiao Xiang returned with the wooden tablet. He respectfully knelt before Jiang Qin and reported the situation of the Heavenly Province Bank. Jiang Qin did not have any interest in these things. Anyway, it was fine as long as the immortal jades he earned were in his hands. After resting for a night, Jiang Qin was about to leave, but he was stopped by Song Yuanjia. The reason was that Jiao Xiang wanted to go to Eternal River City to see his son and daughter. He heard from Song Yuanjia that he was still a little worried. As the head shopkeeper of the Heavenly Province Bank, Jiang Qin naturally had to follow along. Jiang Qin did not refuse. These days, when he had nothing to do, he was still thinking about the Black Sect. Jiang Qin suddenly remembered the first time he went to the Eternal River Bank. He met the old man who wanted to charge him tens of millions of immortal jades just by looking at a few thin pages about the Black Sect. Now that he was the young master of the Thousand Harmony Sect, even the entire Eternal River Bank was his. He should be able to see those things. Although he knew that it might be some useless information, after all, the Eternal River Bank had only found out that the Black Sect had 10 branches in the northern and eastern regions. However, Jiang Qin still wanted to take a look. He would not let go of any information about the Black Sect. After resting for a day in Heavenly Province City, everyone went on their way. Due to Wei Dashuan's lack of strength, the journey that would have taken less than half a day took him until the wee hours of the morning. After nearly 10 days of reconstruction, Eternal River City had recovered a little. However, one could still see the devastation left behind by the battle between experts. Shopkeeper Song, I'm really sorry. At that time, I was confused and had no choice but to do this. I almost caused a disaster. Looking at the situation in Eternal River City, Wei Dashuan could not help but shake his head and sigh. Let's not talk about the past anymore. As long as you promise that you will not be disloyal in the future and will do your best to help Jiang Qin look after the Heavenly Province Bank, I will not fuss about it. Song Yuanjia did not want to say these useless words. Of course, I have already sworn to the heavens that I will take good care of the Heavenly Province Bank in this life. Wei Dashuan raised his hand and said in a deep voice. They arrived at Song Yunjia's manor. Song Yunjia brought Wei Dashuan to see his son and daughter, while Jiang Qin went directly to the living room. Because Song Yunjia had already sent back the news, the people of the Eternal River Bank had prepared the things in advance. As soon as Jiang Qin entered the door, a clansman presented it to him. You may leave. Jiang Qin sat on a wooden chair and flipped through the contents. It was a little different from what Jiang Qin had thought. Although there were very few things recorded, Jiang Qin saw something useful. The Black Sect might be the descendants of an ancient sect. This sentence was marked at the end. There was also a question mark. The person who recorded it back then seemed to be unsure of the authenticity of this information. However, Jiang Chen's thoughts started to wander. In the boundary of the immortal emperor's tomb, Jiang Chen saw the Black Sky Emperor, which gave him the feeling that he was the sect master of the Black Sect. At that time, he also guessed that this immortal emperor might be related to the sect master of the Black Sect. At that time, it was just a fleeting thought. Now that he saw this sentence, Jiang Chen felt that it was more reliable. Just based on the fact that the sect master of the Black Sect dared to attack him without fear of the promise of 2 realms and the promise of 1,000 years at the Qianhe sect auction, he could more or less confirm it. If the sect master of the Black Sect was really the descendant of the Black Sky Emperor, then he might have the strength to not follow these rules. Old man Zhou, why are you as unreliable as Bai Xianling? What you said back then is useless now, Jiang Chen said to himself helplessly. When the sect master of the Black Sect attacked him, Zhou Kunlun should have appeared. However, until now, he had not even seen a shadow. With a sigh, Jiang Chen could only accept this fact. With his current strength, he was afraid that he was not qualified to take the initiative to meet Zhou Kunlun, nor could he find where Bai Xianling was. He could only rely on his own strength to survive. Chapter 1701. Wei Dashuan saw his son and daughter. He thought of a way to send the people from the Ganges bank away and hugged them with a pained expression. I'm sorry, father. I've disappointed you, Wei Qing cried bitterly. During this period of time, he had been reflecting on why he had failed. This failure had directly ruined their Wei clan. Don't be afraid. As long as we're still alive, that's the best outcome. Wei Dashuan comforted him. Father, where's my mother? After hugging for a while and calming down, Wei Qing looked out the door. Don't mention that B***tch in front of me again. Wei Dashuan released the child and pushed him to the ground. Yesterday, when he received the Ganges bank's guards, the first thing he did was to return home and kill his wife. He couldn't tolerate having a cuckold on his head. This was an insult to a man, and it was also a challenge to a man's bottom line. Seeing their father so angry, Wei Qing and Wei Xiaoqiao wanted to know, but they held back. Remember, the Tianfu Bank is now Song Yuanzhi's. He gave the bank to a young man called Jiang Chen. In the future, father will work for him. I'm afraid the 2 of you will have to stay here for a long time. Don't have any conflicts with the people from the Ganges bank. Learn to lower your head and admit defeat, understand? Wei Dashuan took a few deep breaths before calming down. He looked at the child sitting in front of him, and reminded him. What? Wei Qing stood up from his chair. He couldn't accept it. If Song Yuanzhi had taken over the bank, he could understand. But why did he give it to Jiang Chen? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. As long as you're still alive, show some respect to Song Yuanzhi and Jiang Chen. Oh right, call them shopkeeper Song and young master in the future, understand? Wei Dashuan walked forward and grabbed Wei Qing's collar. He gritted his teeth and instructed. Understood, understood. Wei Qing was frightened by his father's expression and hurriedly nodded in agreement. Live well in Ganges City. I hope I won't hear news of your deaths in the future. Wei Dashuan loosened his grip. He knew that he couldn't stay here for too long. He took another look at his son and daughter before turning around to leave. Wei Qing, who was in the room, seemed to have lost his soul as he sat on the floor in a daze. Big brother, this should be considered a pretty good ending. We wanted to take over the Ganges bank, but they gave us a way out. Although we won't be as rich as before, we can still survive. Wei Xiaoyao was more open-minded. She squatted on the ground and wiped the tears from Wei Qing's eyes. You don't understand, you don't understand. Wei Qing pushed her away. If I didn't know Jiang Chen, I would definitely listen to father's orders. However, I have already offended him twice. Do you think he will tolerate me? Wei Qing sighed heavily. I don't think he's a vengeful person. Wei Xiaoqiao fell to the ground and stood up. She patted the dust off her skirt and said, The more this kind of person is, the more terrifying they are. You don't understand this kind of person at all. Wei Qing racked his brains, trying to think of a solution. Suddenly, he raised his head and looked at his sister. Little sister, you can walk freely in Ganji's city now. Song Yuanji's people won't restrict you, right? Yes, but I can't go out of the city gates. I can still go to other places. Wei Xiaoqiao nodded. How about this, you help me do something? As long as you can do it, then my life will be saved. Wei Qing got up and moved to Wei Xiaoqiao's side, mumbling in a low voice. At first, Wei Xiaoqiao was very happy, thinking that she could help her brother. However, the more she listened, the more she felt that something was wrong. In the end, her face was even a little pale, and she was biting her lips tightly. Little sister, if it wasn't for the fact that there was no other way, I wouldn't have done this. Only you can save Big Brother's life now. Otherwise, Jiang Chen will definitely take revenge in the future. With our abilities, we won't be able to stop him. Wei Qing knew that this idea was a little too much, but the effect was the best. I'll think about it. Wei Xiaoqiao grabbed the corner of her clothes. This idea had a huge impact on her. There's no time to think about it. If you don't hurry up, once Jiang Chen is done, he will definitely come and kill me. Wei Qing grabbed her arm and held it tightly. Big brother, you're hurting me. Wei Xiaoqiao gently opened her mouth. I'm sorry. Wei Qing quickly let go and apologized. Go! Yes, I'll listen to Big Brother. I'll go find Jiang Chen. Looking at Wei Qing's aggrieved and begging appearance, Wei Xiaoqiao still couldn't be cruel. She also didn't want to see her brother, who grew up with her, fall into a situation where he was killed. After agreeing, Wei Xiaoqiao slowly walked out. Looking at his sister's back, Wei Qing clenched his fists, and his face kept twitching. For Big Brother's life, I'll just have to make you suffer. Seeing Wei Xiaoqiao disappear around the corner, Wei Qing let out a sigh of relief. Immediately, he sat on the ground, exhausted, and large beads of sweat dripped from his forehead. Staying in the guest room, Jiang Chen felt extremely bored. Thus, he pushed open the door and walked out of the manor under the protection of the 2 guards. Now that Ganji's city was his town, he, as the young lord, had to walk around and familiarize himself with the situation in the town. He couldn't possibly not know what was in the town. Jiang Chen walked aimlessly. The 2 guards behind him didn't complain, and just followed behind him. Passing by a tavern, Jiang Chen originally wanted to go in and drink 2 jugs of wine. Before he could enter, he saw a beautiful figure rush out from inside and directly bump into Jiang Chen's arms. Ah! Jiang Chen subconsciously dodged. But he didn't expect that when he stretched out his hand, he would directly press on a soft and plump place. This strange touch made Jiang Chen's whole body tremble. Damn pervert, don't let me see you in the future! The woman's face turned red, but she seemed to have some urgent matters to attend to. She hurriedly struggled out of Jiang Chen's arms, cursed under her breath, and quickly left. A short while after she left, a few men rushed out of the tavern, cursing and swearing. You too, chase after them and see the situation. If possible, save the girl's life. Recalling the encounter just now, Jiang Chen subconsciously licked his lips. Soon after, he realized that his actions were too vulgar and perverted. He coughed and ordered the 2 guards behind him. We are protecting you. The guards were a bit embarrassed. Chapter 1702. With your strength, can you protect me if I really encounter danger? Jiang Chen smiled. After the encounter just now, he was in a much better mood. The guard fell into deep thought. They were only immortals, while Jiang Chen was a sky immortal expert. If they were in danger, it would be Jiang Chen who would protect them. Go after her. If anything happens to that girl, I will let Song Yuanji teach you a lesson. Jiang Chen raised his hand and was about to slap them. Yes, big brother Jiang Chen. The guard shivered in fright and hurriedly chased in the direction the girl had escaped. Looking at the girl who was running away, Jiang Chen stopped smiling so that he wouldn't look so wretched. Then, he walked into the tavern and ordered 2 pots of wine and a side dish. He was almost done eating. The guard also returned. That girl shook off the men who were chasing her and hid in a dilapidated house. We were worried that we would disturb her if we went in, so we didn't follow her. The guard stood in front of Jiang Chen and reported. Bring me there. Jiang Chen stood up. He followed the guard all the way to a less bustling part of the town and stopped in front of a very dilapidated house. It's here. The guard pointed at a wooden door that could collapse at any time and said, Well done. Jiang Chen nodded in satisfaction and then took out 10 immortal jades from his storage ring and handed them to the guard. Your work today is done. Go to the tavern to eat and drink. Don't worry about me. The guard revealed a smile. 10 immortal jades. It was enough to eat and drink the best wine in any tavern in the town. I really didn't expect him to have this kind of taste. On the way back, the guard with the immortal jades looked back and whispered. With how much the manager values him, I'm afraid he can choose any woman in the town. Another guard said with some envy. Although he could eat and drink in the tavern, how could those things compare to the warmth of a woman's embrace? Jiang Chen didn't know what they were talking about. He stood at the door and hesitated for a while before pushing the door open and going in. However, he didn't expect the door to be so dilapidated. Jiang Chen only used a little more strength, and it fell to the ground with a loud bang, stirring up a cloud of dust. Cough, cough, I'm so sorry for knocking down your door. Jiang Chen walked in awkwardly. He waved his hands and couldn't help but cough. Who are you? In the corner of the room, the beautiful figure stood up and stared at the door like a frightened kitten as she asked in a low voice. I'm the one you bumped into at the entrance of the tavern, Jiang Chen said honestly. Stinking gangster, I didn't have time to deal with you at that time, but you came to me instead. A beautiful figure flashed by, holding the short knife in her hand, and directly pressed it against Jiang Chen's neck. Through the dust, Jiang Chen saw her appearance clearly. She wasn't as cold as Xian Yu and Wei Yu, nor was she as hot-tempered as Hu Fu. She looked a little ordinary, but when her facial features were put together, she looked more and more beautiful. I'm not a stinking gangster, you bumped into me yourself. I instinctively reached out to block you, who would have thought? Jiang Chen explained awkwardly, but when he thought of the situation just now and the feeling of his hands touching her, he couldn't help but laugh. You're still denying it. I'll kill you now. The woman felt humiliated by Jiang Chen. She held the short knife in her hand and was ready to cut Jiang Chen's throat, but when she used her strength, she suddenly felt a piercing pain. Her body went limp and she fell to the ground. The short knife only lightly scratched Jiang Chen's skin, and there wasn't even a trace of blood. TSK, it seems that the injury is not light. Jiang Chen kicked the short knife to the side and slowly squatted down. What do you want to do? The woman's eyes were full of fear, and her hands were tightly clutching her clothes. Don't misunderstand, I'm here to help you. Jiang Chen's expression gradually became serious. When you bumped into me, I felt that you had a fatal injury. If you don't treat it in time, I'm afraid you won't live for more than a few days. You're a doctor? Hearing Jiang Chen's words, the woman let down some of her guard. I'm not a doctor, but I still have some experience in treating illnesses. Jiang Chen stood up and waved his hands, and all the dust in the room was scattered. The room that was originally dirty and messy was now clean and new, but it was a little broken. However, although the room was clean, the dust that was blown outside was like a sandstorm circling around. Many people couldn't react in time and ate a mouthful of dirt. Since I took advantage of you, I naturally have to help you. Jiang Chen directly put his hands under her waist and legs, and carried her to the innermost wooden board. You're a heaven immortal expert. The woman was a little shocked. Not bad, your strength is not bad. Sensing that the woman was around the 6th stage of the true immortal realm, Jiang Chen gave her a thumbs up. What's the use of this? The 6th stage of the true immortal realm is not enough for revenge. The woman clenched her fists and gritted her teeth, and her eyes became fierce. Revenge? What revenge? Jiang Chen's gossipy heart burned. It has nothing to do with you. The woman glanced at Jiang Chen, and then looked away. You don't have to care about me. The poison in my body has already entered my bone marrow. Even the best doctor in Eternal River City can't cure me. Don't waste your energy. Tisk. Jiang Chun was speechless. He directly pressed his palm on the woman's abdomen. Just as the woman was about to resist, she felt a warm current spreading from her lower abdomen and gradually enveloping her entire body. This feeling made her temporarily forget the pain in her body. Her limbs relaxed as she lay down. Even her gaze became much gentler. Your injuries are indeed not light. Jiang Chun narrowed his eyes slightly. No matter how bad it is, it has nothing to do with you. The woman bit her lip. Seeing that we're fated, I'll help you this time. Jiang Chun took out a small bottle from his storage ring, poured out a pill, and directly stuffed it into the woman's mouth. What did you give me to eat? The woman instinctively swallowed, but soon felt that something was wrong. Poison, Jiang Chun said casually. The woman still wanted to say something, but she suddenly felt a wave of sleepiness. She thought that she was at the end of her life, so she didn't resist and directly closed her eyes, welcoming her death. Jiang Chun walked out and waved his hand to set up a barrier of immortal power outside the room, temporarily protecting the safety of the person inside. What a loss! Jiang Chun couldn't help but sigh as he walked back with his hands behind his back. Chapter 1703. The immortal jade just now was a gift from Lin Baichao back in the village. It could remove the poison in the body of anyone below the immortal supremacy level. This kind of elixir could be sold for at least hundreds of millions of immortal jades in a decent auction. However, at that moment, he had only touched it by chance, and he had unexpectedly made such a loss-making deal. It was really not like Jiang Chen's character. After returning to the manor, Jiang Chun forgot about this matter. He touched her chest and gave her a life-saving pill. He had done his best. What happened after that had nothing to do with him. Walking to the door, Jiang Chun was about to push the door open when he saw a girl sitting next to him. What are you doing here? Jiang Chun recognized her as Wei Qing's sister. Big brother Jiang Chun, I have something to say to you. Wei Xiaoqiao stood up awkwardly. Her hands were constantly kneading the corners of her clothes. Her face was red. Are you very hot? Seeing her like this, Jiang Chun asked with a smile. No, I'm not hot. I just have something to say to you. Wei Xiaoqiao shook her head. How could she have the nerve to say such words? If you have something to say, then say it. I'm listening. Jiang Chun leaned against the door. Let's go in. I want to say these words to you in the room. Wei Xiaoqiao continued to shake her head. There were guards patrolling Jiang Chen's room at all times. If they heard this, please come in. Jiang Chun pushed the door open and walked straight in. Wei Xiaoqiao was the young miss of the Wei clan. Her father was now working under him, so he should give her some face. Jiang Chun poured her a glass of water. But Wei Xiaoqiao sat on a chair by the door, hugging her legs. If you have something to say, then say it. If not, then go out. Don't disturb my sleep. Jiang Chun frowned slightly. He felt that this girl was a little mentally unstable. I'll say it. Wei Xiaoqiao mustered up her courage. Okay, I'm listening. Jiang Chun sat on the bed. Big brother Jiang Chun, you're now the young master of the Heavenly Province Bank. Can you let my big brother go? Don't take his life. I'm willing to do anything. Wei Xiaoqiao kept cheering herself on. When her face was so red that it was almost cooked, she finally mustered up her courage, stood up, and pulled off her clothes. F***CK. This gave Jiang Chun quite a fright. He quickly closed his eyes. Fortunately, Wei Xiaoqiao was wearing another layer inside. Otherwise, he would have really made a mistake. Big brother Jiang Chun, I'll call you young master from now on. Wei Xiaoqiao's hands trembled. She had never felt so ashamed before. Don't. I'm not interested in your big brother, and I'm not interested in you. Go back to where you came from. Otherwise, I'll throw you out. Jiang Chun said in a low voice, pointing at the door with his eyes closed. Young master, my big brother offended you. Please don't hurt him for my sake. Wei Xiaoqiao didn't listen to Jiang Chen's words. Her head was buzzing. I'm sorry. Jiang Chen flipped his palm. A thick cotton coat appeared and wrapped Wei Xiaoqiao up. Then, he gently lifted her up and prepared to open the door and send her out. But when he opened the door, he saw a woman standing outside. You're really a hooligan. A familiar voice rang in Jiang Chen's ears. Xiao Xiao stood at the door and looked at the girl being lifted up by Jiang Chen. Her face was instantly filled with anger. After Jiang Chen left for a short while, she had recovered and felt that her body was fine. She realized that she had misunderstood Jiang Chen and hurried to apologize. In order to enter the manor, she gave the remaining 5 celestial jades to the guards. After learning about Jiang Chen's residence, she hurried over. Who would have thought that she would see such a scene before she even knocked on the door? Miss, you've misunderstood. Jiang Chen opened his eyes, slapped his forehead, and sighed helplessly. Who misunderstood? I thought you were a good person. I didn't expect you to be no different from those hooligans. What a waste of my 5 celestial jades. Xiao Xiao snorted and walked out. Jiang Chen didn't chase after her. Instead, he slowly put Wei Xiaoqiao down. Listen to me. I won't hurt your big brother. You'd better do what you should do. Jiang Chen sighed deeply. Really? Wei Xiaoqiao's eyes were filled with tears. She had mustered up her courage to come to Jiang Chen's place, but she didn't expect that Jiang Chen had no interest in her at all. It's absolutely true. Hurry up and leave. Jiang Chen waved his hand. Wei Xiaoqiao turned around and quickly ran out. Looking at her back, Jiang Chen closed the door and lay on the bed in a daze. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have gone out today. Not only had he lost hundreds of millions of celestial jades, but he had also been treated as a hooligan. Jiang Chen hadn't experienced such a thankless thing in a long time. After Wei Xiaoqiao went out, she directly returned to her residence. Seeing her come back wearing a man's clothes, Wei Qing was delighted. He thought that his sister had already taken down Jiang Chen. Then, he could live safely in Eternal River City in the future. Sister, big brother has let you down. Although he was happy, Wei Qing still pretended to be in pain and said to Wei Xiaoqiao, who was walking in. Big brother, Jiang Chen didn't touch me at all. Wei Xiaoqiao took off her coat and threw it on the ground. The moment it touched the ground, the coat turned into a wisp of celestial force and dissipated. What did you say? Jiang Chen didn't touch you? Wei Qing's expression froze. He looked at his sister's somewhat messy clothes and asked in a deep voice. Why were you the one who backed off in the end? No, it's Jiang Chen who has no interest in me. And he told me to come back at ease and that he wouldn't do anything to us in the future. Wei Xiaoqiao shook her head and repeated Jiang Chen's words word for word. Wei Qing's expression didn't relax. Instead, it became even angrier. You're too naive. You actually believed everything Jiang Chen said. Wei Qing coldly snorted and said, He can't kill us, but he can send guards to kill us. Ah? Wei Xiaoqiao couldn't think of this at all. Think about it. When we lived in Tianfu City, there were hundreds of people who came to our house to propose marriage every day. Jiang Chen is also a normal man. How could he not be moved by you? The only explanation is that he still wants to kill us, so he has no interest in you. Wei Qing analyzed. Then what should we do? Wei Xiaoqiao began to feel afraid again. Now that things have come to this, there's only one way. Wei Qing thought for a while and said, I'll find an opportunity to drug him and knock him out. After that, you go and serve him. Once you have physical contact, I'll be his brother-in-law. If he kills me, the entire celestial realm will point at his back and curse him. Chapter 1704. Wei Qing said what he thought was a perfect opportunity. Wei Xiaoqiao lowered her head. She had never thought that she would have to hand herself over in this way. But thinking about it, she had already decided to sacrifice herself to Jiang Chen. It didn't matter what method she used. Sister, Jiang Chen is now the young master of the Heavenly Province Bank and has a good relationship with Song Yuanjia. As long as we can get close to him, not only will we not be in danger in the future, we will even be able to live a better life than before," Wei Qing hurriedly said when he saw that his sister was in low spirits. "I know," Wei Xiaoqiao replied softly. "All right, you go back and rest first. I will inform you when I'm done." Wei Qing waved his hand and exhaled heavily as he turned around, celebrating his new lease on life. They stayed in the Ganges Bank for nearly a week. During this time, Wei Daxuan reported all the accounts of the Heavenly Province Bank to Song Yuanjia. Song Yuanjia had appointed a trusted subordinate to accept the reports and return to Tianfu City with him. While managing the bank, he also monitored the Wei clan to see if they had any ulterior motives. Jiang Chun went over twice, but he really wasn't interested in the contents of the accounts. As a result, in his spare time, he would take Hikari to wander around the town. Hua Fu and Jian Yuan disappeared on the first day of their arrival in the Eternal River City. They said they would go out to eat, and they would come back when Jiang Chen was about to leave. On this day, Jiang Chen took Hikari for a stroll on the streets. Not far away, a shadow disguised as a middle-aged man was staring at Jiang Chen. When she saw Jiang Chen holding the little girl's hand, she was even more certain of her thoughts. Bah! He doesn't care about the girl at all. He is indeed a pervert among perverts, a scum among scum. Xiao Xiao stared at Jiang Chen's back. Her good impression of him had been shattered by the scene in the room. Achoo! Jiang Chen's body trembled and he sneezed heavily a few times. F***CK, who is talking behind my back? Jiang Chen looked around. Master, I want to eat meat. When they arrived at the entrance of the tavern, Hikari pulled Jiang Chen's arm and stood still. She kept shaking his arm and said softly, I'll take you to eat meat. Jiang Chen looked up. This was the tavern where he had met that woman. When he entered, Jiang Chen subconsciously trembled, afraid that someone would rush out again. It was the same as before, a large pot of wild beef. Jiang Chen was a little curious. Hikari was only 12 or 13 years old. Even if she had already become a cultivator, she shouldn't have such a big appetite. When all these pieces of beef were piled together, they were probably almost as tall as her. Jiang Chen couldn't help but sigh as he watched Hikari eat to her heart's content. Fortunately, he had obtained a lot of treasures from the immortal emperor's tomb and had some wealth. Now, he had the Heavenly Province Bank. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be able to raise his disciple. While Jiang Chen was looking at Hikari, Xiao Xiao, who was disguised as a middle-aged man, swept past from behind and rushed straight to the upper floor of the tavern. In less than an hour, all the wild beef was in Hikari's stomach. Jiang Chen only smelled it and didn't even eat a piece. Are you full? Jiang Chen asked with a smile. I'm still a little hungry. Hikari also knew that she had eaten too much. However, ever since she became a cultivator, she felt that she couldn't eat until she was full. Moreover, every time she ate, she would become very hungry in a short while. Shopkeeper, give me some more beef! Jiang Chen didn't hesitate and shouted at the counter. With his current strength, not to mention wild beef, even fresh beef could fill Hikari's stomach. Coming! The shopkeeper shouted and brought another wooden pot over. He placed it between Jiang Chen and Hikari. Hikari's eyes lit up, and she stretched out her small hand, ready to take it. Before she could stuff the beef into her mouth, a beautiful figure flashed by and a gust of wind blew. The entire pot of beef fell to the ground and was covered in dust. Wah! Hikari stayed where she was and cried with heartache. Seeing this, Jiang Chen quickly hugged her in his arms and comforted her. When Hikari stopped crying, Jiang Chen looked at the door. He felt that the figure just now was familiar. Do you still want to eat? Jiang Chen patted Hikari's head. No, I'll eat until I'm poor. Hikari shook her head. She didn't know much about immortal jades. The only thing she knew was that buying a pot of beef cost 10 immortal jades. She had to fight in the underground arena for an entire day to earn that much. It's okay. I'll let someone else treat you. Jiang Chen's lips curled into a smile. He carried Hikari and left the tavern. In the rundown house, Xiao Xiao took out a large piece of meat from between her clothes. She stole it directly from the kitchen of the tavern. The chef didn't even cut it. So comfortable. Xiao Xiao took a bite and chewed with satisfaction. Ever since her body recovered, she clearly felt that her speed had increased a lot. That group of people could no longer catch up to her. You said I was a pervert. So you're the real thief! After eating for a while, Jiang Chen's cold snort sounded. With the lesson of pushing the door open last time, Jiang Chen directly flashed in. Xiao Xiao was stunned and quickly put the beef behind her. What I do has nothing to do with you. Moreover, I saw you being a pervert with my own eyes. Don't try to deny it. Xiao Xiao looked up at Jiang Chen. How interesting. No matter what, I'm your savior. Is this how you treat your savior? Jiang Chen couldn't help but laugh. Thank you for saving me. Xiao Zhao's face turned red. You don't have to thank me. I didn't want to meddle in your business, but when you left the tavern, you knocked my beef to the ground. So you have to compensate us. Jiang Chen pulled Hikari and sat on a wooden stool that was about to fall apart. Don't even think about it. It wasn't easy for me to take it out. Xiao Xiao was a little nervous. She quickly reached behind her. However, the beef that she had placed behind her was nowhere to be seen. Xiao Xiao took a closer look. The beef had appeared in Jiang Chen's hands without her noticing. Jiang Chen handed it to the little girl, and the little girl began to eat it. You! Xiao Xiao swallowed her saliva and pointed at Jiang Chen. What about you? This is what you should compensate us. My disciple didn't mind you taking a bite. That's already giving you face. Jiang Chen didn't give in at all. Disciple? Xiao Xiao was stunned when she saw the girl beside Jiang Chen. Of course. Do you think everyone is as filthy as you? Jiang Chen sneered. Realizing that she had misunderstood Jiang Chen, Xiao Zhao's expression became a little unnatural. She thought of the girl that Jiang Chen had lifted up that day. Chapter 1705. Xiao Xiao felt that she might have really misunderstood him. That girl you carried that day, who is she to you? Don't tell me she's also your disciple? Xiao Xiao swallowed her saliva as she spoke in a low voice. That's none of your business, Jiang Chen said in an annoyed tone. Ever since he met this woman, he had never had a good time. I'm sorry, I might have really misunderstood you. Xiao Xiao stood up and walked up to Jiang Chen, kneading her hands. She said with a smile, Thank you for the elixir you gave me the other day. The poison in my body has been completely removed. Even my injuries have recovered. Hikari, let's leave after eating this beef. We don't have to stay here. Jiang Chen did not want to bother with her at all. Now, whenever he thought of that pill, Jiang Chen's heart would bleed. I still have some here. If it's not enough, I'll go get more for you. Although she said that, Xiao Xiao pulled out a box from under the wooden bed and took out a large piece of dried beef. Although the room was very dirty, there was not a speck of dust on this piece of beef. It could be seen that it had been preserved very carefully. Thank you, big sister. Hikari had just finished the piece of beef in her hand when she saw Xiao Xiao bring over another piece. Her eyes immediately lit up and she reached out to take it. After thanking her, she immediately began to eat. What did you call me? You called me big sister. Xiao Xiao felt as if she had been struck by lightning. Her entire body froze on the spot. Her mind was filled with thoughts, and she was pulled back to an hour later. At that time, she was living in a family with some status in the northern region and had a very cute little sister. However, this beautiful scenery did not last long before a disaster befell her family. Jiang Chen did not know what she was thinking. However, when he saw her staring at Hikari without moving, he thought that she was feeling sorry for the beef. All right, I'll be a good person until the end. Jiang Chen sighed and took out a promissory note worth 100,000 immortal jade from his storage ring. He handed it over. This money should be enough for you to live for a long time. Find a proper job and don't do these sneaky things. Otherwise, if you get caught one day, I'm afraid you'll lose your life. Xiao Xiao completely ignored Jiang Chen. Let's go. This person's mental state is somewhat abnormal. After Hikari finished eating the beef, Jiangchen hurriedly pulled her away. Xiao Zhao's eyes followed Jiangchen and Hikari. If his younger sister had not met with a mishap back then, she would also be this big now, and would also grow up to be this cute. Thinking of the past, Xiao Zhao's tears streamed down. She walked to the wooden stool that Hikari had just made, bent down, and carefully put away the piece of beef that Hikari had just dropped. "Master, I feel that big sister seems to be a little disappointed." On the way back, Hikari rubbed her belly contentedly. "You ate 2 big pieces of beef from her. Of course she would be disappointed," Jiangchen replied casually. He didn't want to see that woman anymore. Every time he met her, nothing good happened. Today, he had wasted another 100,000 immortal jades. After returning to the manor, Jiangchen received the news. Tomorrow morning, Wei Daxuan and a group of people from the Ganges Bank would return to Tianfu City. Therefore, a banquet was naturally arranged at night. As the new young master of the Tianfu Bank, Jiangchen naturally had to attend. Song Yuanjia had delivered the news in person. He had been busy with the Bank of the Land of Abundance these days. He hadn't had time to visit Jiangchen at all. He felt a little guilty, but since he had delivered the news, he decided to visit Jiangchen and talk to him. "Young master, I haven't seen Jiangchen and Hufu in a while. They can't be absent from tonight's banquet." Song Yuanjia sat upright in Jiangchen's room. "They went out. When I leave, they will follow. You don't have to worry about it." Jiangchen waved his hand and said. Although Hufu and Jiang Yuan had transformed into human form, their bodies were still immortal beasts. They were not used to living like humans. When they were in Kunlun Immortal Mountain, it was still okay. They had unscrupulously reverted to their original forms and hunted in the mountains. But after coming out, they could not suppress it anymore. Then young master must come. I have to let them know you." Song Yuanjia nodded and continued. "You didn't tell them my identity, right?" Jiangchen looked at him. "Of course not. I only told them that you were the new young lord of the Bank of the Land of Abundance. I didn't mention anything about the school, and I never called you young lord." Song Yuanjia hurried to shake his head. He took everything Jiangchen had said to heart, and he would obey him resolutely. "Well done." Jiangchen smiled. "Then, young master, you rest first. I will send a servant to pick you up in the evening. At that time, even Hikari will attend." Song Yuanjia got up and saluted Jiangchen before retreating. "Go." Jiangchen lay down on the bed. In the evening, in the manor's largest living room, Song Yuanjia had invited the best chef in the town. Not only Wei Daxuan, but even Wei Qing and Wei Xiaojiao were invited. Although the two of them were trapped in the manor, Song Yuanjia still had to act on the surface and not give anyone the chance to talk about him. When Jiangchen appeared, everyone stood up. The people from the Ganges River bank didn't know who Jiangchen was, but since Song Yuanjia was so respectful to Jiangchen, there was no problem for them to follow suit. "Are you ready?" In the corner, Wei Qing held the jade bottle in his hand and asked in a low voice. Wei Xiaojiao nodded lightly. "Success or failure depends on tonight. You must make Jiangchen your man. Otherwise, our lives will always be in the hands of others. Who knows when it will be gone?" Looking at Jiangchen, who wasn't far away, Wei Qing clenched his fists. He still couldn't figure out why Song Yuanjia valued a mere celestial immortal so much that he even gave him the Heavenly Province Bank. "I know, big brother." Wei Xiaojiao had already convinced herself in her heart. Hikari was sitting next to Jiangchen. She started eating as soon as the dishes were served. No one on the scene had the nerve to say anything. They just kept praising her for her naivety and cuteness. Everyone knew this girl had a good relationship with Jiangchen, and Jiangchen was the Grand Elder's most valued guest at the moment. "Young master, in the future, we will definitely sacrifice our lives for you and the Tianfu Bank." Wei Daxuan raised his wine and said respectfully to Jiangchen. In his opinion, he was already very satisfied to be able to live with his son and daughter. As for the Tianfu Bank, status, and fame, they were completely unimportant. They were like floating clouds that didn't have any weight in his heart. Jiang Chen also raised his wine and replied. Let's also toast. The others who were going to the Tianfu Bank also raised their glasses. Chapter 1706. Jiang Chen replied with a smile. Big brother Jiang Chen. At this moment, Wei Qing's voice rang out. The others all looked over, and Song Yuanjia frowned slightly. He knew that Wei Qing and Jiang Chen had some grudges. If the former dared to cause trouble here, even if Wei Dashuan was present, he would still act and kill him. Wei Dashuan's hand that was holding the wine cup trembled. Oh? Young Master Wei? Jiang Chen was also a little surprised. Brother Jiang Chen, I didn't recognize you. I offended you by accident. I hope you won't hold a grudge against me. Don't lower yourself to my level. Wei Qing walked directly in front of Jiang Chen and reached out to take Jiang Chen's wine. As he passed it to Jiang Chen, he secretly sprinkled some medicinal powder and sighed. Wei Dashuan heaved a sigh of relief and nodded with satisfaction. Knowing when to yield and when not to, this was the demeanor that his son should have. Haha, I've already forgotten. Jiang Chen wouldn't make things difficult for Wei Qing. After all, his father was already working for him. If he still made things difficult for him, he would be a little petty. Big brother Jiang Chen, I'll drink. Wei Qing raised his wine cup and drank it in one gulp. Not bad. Jiang Chen nodded and also drank all the wine. In the future, live well in Eternal River City and don't cause trouble. It's fine if you provoke me, but if you accidentally provoke a celestial lord or a celestial lord, then you won't have the chance to regret it. Thank you, big brother Jiang Chen, for your teachings. Wei Qing lowered his head and replied. The banquet continued, but Wei Qing found an opportunity to leave with Wei Xiaoqiao. Standing in the shadow of the manor, Wei Qing said in a low voice, I spent a lot of effort to get that bottle of medicine. Not to mention that he is a celestial immortal, even a deity would be unconscious for 3 days and 3 nights after drinking it. Big brother, Jiang Chen and Song Yuanjia have a good relationship. Now that father is working under him, if we do this, won't we offend him? Wei Shiqiao's face was red. I've already told you many times before. On the surface, this person let us go, but in reality, he will still make a move behind our backs. If we want to live here peacefully, we have to rope him in. Wei Qing grabbed Wei Xiaoqiao and said with bloodshot eyes, As long as you can get him into your bed, then we can do whatever we want in Eternal River City. Big brother, you're hurting me. Wei Xiaoqiao tried her best to shrink back. Just take it as I'm begging you. If you don't deal with him, I'm afraid I'll really die. Wei Qing looked flustered. Xiaoqiao, for the sake of big brother, you should be Jiang Chen's woman. I already agreed. Wei Xiaoqiao sighed. She didn't want to hand herself over to strangers, but she had already agreed to it once, and she really didn't want to see her brother die in front of her. Okay. Jiang Chen has already drunk the medicine. The rest is up to you. Wei Qing became abnormally agitated and hurriedly dragged Wei Xiaoqiao back. The banquet ended quickly. When almost all the guests had left, Jiang Chen moved a stool and sat beside Song Yuanjia. Seeing Jiang Chen come over, Song Yuanjia wanted to call him young master, but he held back. Great shopkeeper Song. Jiang Chen narrowed his eyes and smiled. Young master, you can just call me little Song. Song Yuanjia said in a low voice. No, I still want to call you great shopkeeper Song. Jiang Chen hurriedly waved his hand. He didn't have that kind of vulgar taste. Great shopkeeper Song, I have something to ask you. In the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy, the elders called Lin Baichao Elder Ji, but to me and the outside world, his surname is Lin. Song Yuanjia thought for a while and asked, Is the person you're talking about surnamed Song like me? Should be. Jiang Chen replied. That elder Song, like Lin Baichao and me, escaped from the Tianji sect. Internally, he called Lin Baichao Elder Ji because his original name was Ji Yuan. To the outside world, he called him Elder Lin. After all, Ji Yuan's name is still somewhat famous in the immortal world. Song Yuanjia didn't hesitate and directly told the truth. What about you, great shopkeeper Song? Jiang Chen asked. It's been too long. I've already forgotten my previous name. Song Yuanzhi's eyes dimmed. This was almost unacceptable to anyone. In the entire immortal realm, the disciples and elders of the Tianji sect all lived in anonymity. They had almost no contact with each other before, and he and Lin Baichao only met again by chance and coincidence. Okay, then I won't ask. Jiang Chen didn't pursue the matter. He was just satisfying his curiosity. Young master, now that the banquet is over, I'll send you back to rest. Seeing that everyone in the hall had left, Song Yuanzhi stood up and held Jiang Chen's arm as he spoke respectfully. I can return to the Kunlun Immortal Mountain? Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows and asked with a smile. Of course you can. Now young master just needs to wait for the immortal jade from the Tianfu Bank. Song Yuanzhi nodded and continued. But if young master wants to live in the Ganji city, I'm very happy. I'm willing to do anything for young master. Really? Jiang Chen's eyes flashed. But soon he shook his head. I'd better go back. I'm now a disciple of the Kunlun Immortal Mountain and can't leave often. Breaking free from Song Yuanzhi's support, Jiang Chen walked out. Now that the Tianfu Bank and the Ganges Bank were his territory, there was no need to ask too much. An endless supply was the best way to use it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to get any benefits in the future. Young master, take care. Song Yuanzhi bowed and watched Jiang Chen leave before he went to do other things. Back in the guest room, Jiang Chen spat out a mouthful of saliva. When Wei Qing toasted him at the banquet, he clearly felt that something was wrong. But because there were so many people present, Jiang Chen didn't lower himself to his level. The saliva he spat out was the medicinal powder. Lying on the bed, Jiang Chen prepared to return to the Kunlun Immortal Mountain tomorrow morning. Big brother Jiang Chen, are you asleep? After a while, a soft voice sounded outside the room. This voice sounded soft and seductive. If a normal man heard it, he probably wouldn't be able to resist. Jiang Chen didn't answer. From her words, it was obvious that she was Wei Daxuan's daughter. Seeing that no one answered, Wei Xiaoqiao tiptoed and pushed open the door. In the darkness, she walked to the bedside and saw Jiang Chen lying on the bed with his eyes closed. She unconsciously bit her lips and gently took off her clothes. Why, are you taking the initiative to offer yourself? Jiang Chen opened his eyes in time. He originally thought that it was an assassination, but he didn't expect it to be such a situation. Chapter 1707. Ah! Wei Xiaoqiao cried out in surprise. She stumbled back and hit the door. She clutched her clothes tightly with both hands, and her face was red. Even though she had already decided to give herself to Jiang Chen, now that Jiang Chen had exposed her, she was still embarrassed and ashamed. Tell me, who asked you to come? Jiang Chen asked with a smile as he sat on the bed. No one asked me to come. Wei Xiaoqiao was worried that if she told the truth, Jiang Chen might kill her brother, so she quickly shook her head. Her voice was as soft as a mosquito's. I came to see if you were asleep. If you weren't, I'll get you a cup of water to drink. Is that so? Jiang Chen stood up and walked in front of her. You stay away from me. Wei Xiaoqiao lowered her head, not daring to look at Jiang Chen. She had never been so close to a man before. When she smelled Jiang Chen's scent, she even felt her face burn. She instinctively wanted to reject him. How interesting. You took the initiative to offer yourself, but you want me to stay away, Jiang Chen said calmly. The smile on his face disappeared. Wei Xiaoqiao didn't know how to reply. Go back. Go back and tell your brother that I have no interest in him. As long as he lives honestly in Eternal River City and doesn't affect my matters, I won't make things difficult for him. If he dares to ruin my matters, I'll make him disappear completely from the celestial realm. Jiang Chen waved his hand. He had no interest in a little girl like Wei Xiaoqiao. I'll go back and tell my brother. Wei Xiaoqiao didn't dare to stay for long. When she left the room, tears flowed down her cheeks. She had made up her mind to give herself to Jiang Chen, but she didn't expect that Jiang Chen didn't take her seriously at all. She couldn't accept this. The next day, after Jiang Chen woke up, he spread out a wisp of celestial power. When it was close to noon, Hua Fu and Jiang Yuan flew in from outside Eternal River City. The two of them had satisfied expressions on their faces. After seeing Jiang Chen, they put away their arrogant and complacent expressions. After all, Jiang Chen was now the young master of the Tianji sect. On the surface, he was just a cultivator with the cultivation of a celestial immortal, but in the dark, he was their master. Pack up and bring Hikari back. Jiang Chen didn't care what they were going to do. Are you done? Hua Fu put her hands on her hips. She could smell the scent of another woman on Jiang Chen's body. Well, we just have to wait for the money from the Heavenly Province Bank. Jiang Chen nodded and said, After returning, we still have to investigate the situation of the Citra family. The Citra family? Fire Lotus and Jiang Yuan had never heard of this family. According to the information that Great Elder Su Qian found out, it is the second branch of the Black Sect besides the Black Cloud Sect. In the northern and eastern regions, there are 10 sects under the Black Sect. Jiang Chen took a deep breath and told them the situation. Anyway, he was now the young master of the Tianji sect. He could be sure that Hua Fu and Jiang Yuan would not betray him. It seems that this Black Sect is more complicated than we thought. Hua Fu's expression gradually became serious. She looked at Jiang Chen for a while and then said in a low voice, Maybe one of the sects we came into contact with before is a branch of the Black Sect. Jiang Yuan followed. That's not very likely. There are at least hundreds of sects in the northern and eastern regions. When I came to the immortal world, I only met a few sections. They probably have nothing to do with the Black Sect. Jiang Chen shook his head. During this time, he also sorted out all the things he encountered after he ascended to the immortal world. He did not find any similarities between those sects and the Black Sect. I think we should go back quickly and tell the news to the lords of the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. They have a better understanding of the current immortal world. Fire Lotus ran into the manor. After a while, she came out with Hikari, who had just woken up. The four of them did not hesitate and immediately left the Eternal River City. Just as they were leaving, Jiang Chen glanced in the direction of the town. At the same time, Xiao Xiao, who was sitting in the room, seemed to have sensed something. She walked out of the house and looked in the direction of the Eternal River City gate. Since Hikari called her sister, she could no longer forget this little girl. But she was afraid that if she went rashly, it would cause Jiang Chen to be disgusted, so she decided to wait a few days and see the situation. Kunlun Immortal Mountain. Ever since Jiang Chen won the Great Sect competition, all the disciples' attitude towards Jiang Chen had softened a lot. At this time, Jiang Chen was lying on the bed in Mystic Moon's room. His hands were constantly caressing her delicate thighs. While he was enjoying it, Jiang Chen also told her the news. The first Mountain Lord has already told us this. Mystic Moon did not appear to be surprised. Oh? She told you? Jiang Chen sat up. That's right. After you told her about it, she summoned all of us immediately. She told us about the Citra family, and the Black School's subsects in the east and north. Xianyu didn't get angry because of what Jiang Chen had done. Instead, she took the opportunity to lie in his arms. Then what did you decide? Jiang Chen was curious. Of course it was to investigate this Citra clan. We've already sent out many people, but unfortunately, we haven't gotten any news yet. Mystic Moon softly told him about the situation in the sect. When we attacked the Black Cloud sect, someone stabbed us in the back and killed some elders. If we continue to attack the Citra family, I don't think the headmaster of the Black School will stay idle. Gazing at the pure woman beside him, Jiang Chen was not interested in her at all at the moment. It's okay. In the immortal realm, the strongest are the 3 immortal kings. No matter how high the Black Sect Lord's cultivation is or how mysterious the outer region is, he can't be stronger than the 3 immortal kings. We're not even afraid of Xianjun, why should we be afraid of him? Don't forget, although we 9 lords are immortal monarchs on the surface, our strength is not below that of an immortal king. The 8th Mountain Lord Yangju is at the peak of his strength. He calls himself a real immortal king. Mystic Moon smiled and comforted him. Then can you protect me? Jiangchen blinked and snuggled into Mystic Moon's arms. Go away. Mystic Moon pushed Jiangchen away and said, try to offend more experts. When the time comes, even our Kunlun Immortal Mountain can't protect you. At that time, we'll throw you out and let you fend for yourself. What a vicious woman! Jiangchen sighed and said helplessly. Humph! Mystic Moon snorted coldly. She was very gentle with Jiangchen. If you have time, go to Weiyu's place. She went to Eternal River City recently. When she came back, she told me to inform you. Lord Weiyu? Why did she go to Eternal River City? Jiangchen turned around and asked. Chapter 1708. How would I know about Weiyu's matters? Xianyu snorted. But I advise you to be careful. Ever since she came back, her complexion has not been very good. Jiangchen did not speak. Wasn't Gangha City the most chaotic period not long ago? If Weiyu was there, it was very likely that she saw what he did. Jiangchen was a little worried. He did not want to let the Kunlun Immortal Mountain know about the Tianji sect, but Weiyu and Xianyu were his women. There was no harm in telling them. What are you thinking about? Seeing Jiangchen sitting on the bed in a daze, Xianyu waved her hand in front of him. Nothing, I'm just a little tired and want to rest for a while. Jiangchen took the opportunity to pull the woman beside him into his arms, but his hands kept touching her body. Xianyu's face was slightly red. Thinking that Jiangchen might not do anything out of line in broad daylight, she did not stop him. After having a good time, Jiangchen arrived at the 6th mountain. Unexpectedly, just as he reached the peak, a whip came whistling through the air. Weiyu? Jiangchen was struck dumb. He hurried to dodge it. The whip brushed against Jiangchen's back. If he had been a little slower, he would have been hit by the whip. Fortunately, Weiyu was not ruthless. After dodging twice in a row, Jiangchen directly grabbed the whip and pulled Weiyu in front of him. Little girl, are you trying to murder your husband? Looking at the plump beauty in front of him, Jiangchen felt his heart ripple even though he had been with Xianyu for a while. He could not help but move closer to Weiyu's lips. Let go of me, there are so many disciples watching. Weiyu did not expect Jiangchen to go so far. Mountain Lord Weiyu, may I know why you called me here? Jiangchen turned his head and saw that there were indeed some disciples not far away who were watching them. He immediately panicked and quickly let go of Weiyu and pretended to ask. Let's talk inside. Weiyu tidied up her messy clothes and pretended to be calm. Walking into the main hall and seeing that there was no one else inside, Jiangchen let go. Sitting cross-legged on the chair at the head of the table, Jiangchen saw some pastries on the small table next to him and picked them up to eat. While eating, his eyes were constantly sizing up Weiyu's figure. Keep your eyes shut! Weiyu waved the whip in her hand. Okay. Jiangchen shrugged. Previously, when the first Mountain Lord told me about the Citra family, I had already sent people to investigate. Later on, I found out that this family had been active in the vicinity of Eternal River City. They had even taken care of the largest foundry family in Eternal River City, Weiyu said as she put away her whip and sat beside Jiangchen. You went to Eternal River City just for this? Jiangchen let out a sigh of relief. Otherwise? Weiyu coldly snorted. Do you think I want to meddle in your affairs? Thank you for helping me. I have nothing to repay you with, so I can only repay you with my body. Jiangchen chuckled and moved closer to Weiyu. Why don't we do it today? Don't force me to hit you. If you repay me with your body, then what will happen to Xianyu and your disciple Bai Fingyu? Weiyu was a little angry. She would not be as foolish as Xianyu to give herself away. Although she liked Jiangchen, she wanted to get the complete Jiangchen and did not want to compete with other women for his favor. Jiangchen awkwardly coughed. What Weiyu did not know was that Bai Fingyu was not the only female disciple he had. Don't tell me you have other, Wei Yu understood Jiang Chen too well. She could vaguely guess some clues from Jiang Chen's expression. Not good, Mountain Lord Wei Yu. I just received news from the mountain gate. Bai Fingyu and Hikari of the 9th mountain have mysteriously disappeared. Just as Jiang Chen was about to explain, a disciple of the 6th mountain hurriedly ran in. After tripping over the threshold, he scrambled in and shouted, "What did you say?" As soon as he said this, the smile on Jiang Chen's face instantly froze. He slowly stood up from his seat. Even the air in the main hall seemed to have frozen and was filled with a cold voice. What's going on? How can they disappear in our Kunlun celestial mountain? Wei Yu frowned and immediately asked. I don't know. It's the news from Mountain Lord Xian Yu of the 9th mountain. Now the entire Kunlun celestial mountain is under martial law. All the disciples of the 1st mountain and the 9th mountain have been mobilized and are carefully investigating every place in the mountain gate. However, it seems that there is no progress. The disciple stood up and panted heavily. As he panted, he touched his chest and said, Jiang Chen Yu. Wei Yu knew that Bai Fingyu and Hikari were very important to Jiang Chen. Moreover, after spending some time together, she also had deep feelings for Hikari. However, just as she was about to turn around and talk to Jiang Chen, she saw Jiang Chen's figure flash out of the main hall like a shooting star. Pass down my order. From the elders of the 6th mountain to the disciples who have just entered the mountain gate, everyone is to immediately put down what they are doing and investigate the inside of Kunlun's celestial mountain carefully. In addition, send people from the information hall to leave the sect and search in all directions for information. Wei Yu did not lose her ability to think because of this urgent situation. After standing in place for a while, she immediately gave the order. Yes, Mountain Lord. After the disciple agreed, he immediately ran out. At this time, Kunlun's celestial mountain was no longer as peaceful as before. Countless disciples were going back and forth to investigate. Not only the 9 mountain gates, but even the endless mountain range behind the mountain gates had disciples diving into it. Jiang Chen rushed back to the 9th mountain. He had only left for less than an hour. Who would have thought that such a big thing would happen? Xian Yu sat at the entrance of the main hall. Beside her stood Hua Fu and Jiang Yuan with their heads lowered. The two of them were in a very low mood. After seeing Jiang Chen, they did not even dare to raise their heads. Xian Yu, what's going on? How did Feng Yu and Hikari disappear from Kunlun Celestial Mountain? Jiang Chen walked in front of Xian Yu and took a deep breath. He suppressed the anger and uneasiness in his heart and tried to appear as calm as possible. It's our problem. Jiang Yuan faced Jiang Chen, but still did not dare to raise his head. Jiang Chen frowned slightly. Hikari wanted to follow us to the mountain range to play. Feng Yu couldn't bear to part with her, so she came with us. Hua Fu stood up. In the past, when she faced Jiang Chen, she would stick out her chest and raise her head. She would even say a few words to flirt with him. However, today, she was like an eggplant that had been hit by frost, wilting. You two are immortal lords. Could it be that someone can snatch them away from you? Jiang Chen's frown deepened. Chapter 1709. Sai, Hua Fu and I were a little playful. We thought that there wouldn't be any danger in the Kunlun Celestial Mountain, so we let Feng Yu play with Hikari for a while. We didn't expect that a few minutes later there would be a strong fluctuation of immortal power in the mountain range. When we chased after them, Feng Yu and Hikari were already gone. Jiang Yuan's voice became lower and lower until it couldn't be heard. The mountain range doesn't belong to the Kunlun Celestial Mountain. It's just a little closer. Xian Yu sighed. When Hua Fu and Jiang Yuan first went, she didn't care at all. She knew that with their cultivation of immortal lords, even if there were many wild beasts in the mountain range, they would definitely not encounter any danger. But she never expected that Bai Fingyu and Hikari would also enter and even get into trouble. Phew! Jiang Chen exhaled a mouthful of foul air. What should we do now? Jiang Yuan didn't know what to do. He was completely no different from a child who had done something wrong. What else can we do? Investigate, Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. After saying this, Jiang Chen's figure disappeared again and rushed into the mountain range. Don't just stand there. It's very likely that the person who attacked Bai Fingyu and Hikari is the sect master of the Black Sect or his subordinates. Jiang Chen's cultivation is only at the 4th level of the Heaven Immortal Realm. If he goes in like this and something happens, you can't bear the responsibility, Xian Yu hurriedly said to Hua Fu and Jiang Yuan as she looked at Jiang Chen's back. Understood. Hua Fu and Jiang Yuan looked at each other, and immediately followed without hesitation. Not long after Jiang Chen left, the first mountain lord and Wei Yu gathered at the peak of the 9th mountain. Except for the 3 of them, the other 6 mountain lords didn't move. After all, in such a big sect like the Kunlun Celestial Mountain, it was common for disciples to go missing. Although they could all go out to destroy the Black Cloud sect for Jiang Chen, they couldn't panic because of the disappearance of the 2 people around Jiang Chen. In the main hall, Qing Mu stood behind Xian Yu. Mountain lords, almost all the disciples of the 9th mountain have entered the mountain range. The information hall has also been sent out, but we haven't found any clues. Under Xian Yu's signal, Qing Mu explained the situation of the 9th mountain. The same goes for our 6th mountain. Wei Yu sighed softly. I've never seen Jiang Chen lose his composure like this. Seems like Bai Fingyu and Hikari are still somewhat important to him. The first mountain lord crossed her legs. Although she was worried, she wasn't as worried as Wei Yu and Xian Yu. In her view, as long as Jiang Chen was not in danger, she could give an account to Wan Cheng. However, when she thought of Wan Cheng, the first mountain chieftain's face turned gloomy. That stinky man was purposely avoiding her. She didn't even know which woman he was lying in. First mountain lord, what do you think? Wei Yu and Xian Yu looked at her at the same time. Although the strength of the 9 mountain lords in the Kunlun Celestial Mountain was similar, because of the relationship between Jiang Chen and Wan Qing, the 2 of them were still very respectful to the first mountain lord. In my opinion, there's no other way other than investigating. As for whether we can find them or not, it all depends on luck. However, I think that since the other party has captured these 2 people, it's very likely that they are using them to threaten Jiang Chen. Therefore, for the time being, Bai Fingyu and Hikari's lives won't be in danger. The first mountain lord pursed her lips and pondered. That's right. Hearing this, Xian Yu and Wei Yu both agreed. In the mountain range, Jiang Chen continued to search. However, other than a trace of immortal power, he couldn't sense anything. Jiang Chen felt that this immortal power was extremely familiar. It wasn't anyone else's, but the same immortal power as the Black Sky sect, the Black Sect Master, and even the Black Cloud sect. It's really them. Jiang Chen punched the tree trunk and said in a deep voice. What's wrong? Jiang Yuan and Hua Fu hurriedly ran over. However, they were afraid that Jiang Chen would be angry, so they kept a small distance. It's the Black Sect Master's people. Jiang Chen took a deep breath. It's our fault. If we had stayed by Bai Fingyu and Hikari's side, I'm afraid it wouldn't be like this. Jiang Yuan lowered his head. Swish! Before Jiang Chen could speak, a white figure swept over. Eldest senior brother, Jiang Chen said. I've already searched all the caves, gaps, and cliffs near the mountain range, but I didn't find them. Bai Shaoyan shook his head and said. Even with his immortal king cultivation base, such anxious actions and the anxiety in his heart still caused fine beads of sweat to seep out from his forehead. This person, I will definitely kill him. Jiang Chen clenched his fist, his eyes sharp. Not only did the Black Sect Master threaten him, but he also attacked the people around him. This was already considered to have touched Jiang Chen's reverse scale. Moreover, this person was inextricably linked to the Black Sky Emperor. Perhaps he could find out the whereabouts of his mother from this person. Don't worry. When I came out, the 9th mountain had already dispatched the inner disciples and the disciples of the Intelligence Hall. I'm sure they will be able to find out some information. Bai Shaoyan had never seen Jiang Chen so depressed before, so he stepped forward and patted his shoulder to comfort him. I'm afraid we won't be able to find anything in Kunlun Mountain. Jiangchen shook his head. Then what do you mean? Bai Xiaoyun asked. The Ganges Bank. Jiangchen thought of Song Yuanjia. Song Yuanjia's Ganges Bank, as well as his own Tianfu Bank, could be said to be the largest chamber of commerce in the eastern part of the northern region, and even in the entire northern region. Their information hall was definitely much better than that of Kunlun's sect, and the information they gathered was definitely faster and deeper than that of Kunlun's sect. I'll go with you. Bai Xiaoyun was worried that Jiangchen would do something inappropriate when he was in a complicated mood. Then we... Hua Fu and Jiang Yuan spoke at the same time, both wanting to make a good impression in front of Jiangchen. You two should stay here. With me accompanying him, nothing will happen to him. You two should continue to investigate the mountain range and the surroundings of Kunlun Mountain. Since they were able to take both of them away, they will definitely leave some clues behind. Bai Xiaoyun said. Eldest senior brother is right. You two should stay. At this point, Jiangchen did not consider whether Bai Xiaoyun would know his identity as the young master of the Qianhe sect. After giving his instructions, Jiangchen and Bai Xiaoyun turned into two streaks of light and disappeared from the mountain range in an instant. Watching the two of them disappear at the end of his sight, Jiang Yuan sighed faintly. Sigh, we've really caused trouble. If the two of them encounter any danger, I'm afraid the young master will not forgive us. What's the use of saying this now? Hurry up and investigate. Hua Fu tugged at her skirt. Her eyes were no longer as charming as before. It's not that easy. That person has probably already taken them away from here. Based on the fluctuation of immortal qi, it's definitely around the level of a quasi-immortal king. It's not much weaker than the mountain masters of Kunlun Mountain. Jiang Yuan shook his head and replied. Chapter 1710. Ganges City. After Jiangchen and Bai Xiaoyun arrived, they immediately met with Song Yuanjia. When Bai Xiaoyun was still curious as to why Jiangchen was able to contact Song Yuanjia directly, Jiangchen had already explained the situation. With Lin Baichao here and Song Yuanjia's actions during this period of time, Jiangchen already had a lot of trust in them. After receiving the information, Song Yuanjia immediately stated that he would mobilize all of Ganges Bank's intelligence personnel to investigate Bai Fingyu and Hikari's whereabouts in the entire northern region. In the guest room, Jiangchen laid on the bed and exhaled heavily. Looks like your relationship with Ganges Bank is pretty good. Bai Xiaoyun sat beside Jiangchen. His understanding of Ganges Bank was from the time when Jiangchen received an invitation to participate in the Chamber of Commerce. I'm already the young master. Looking at Bai Xiaoyun, Jiangchen still decided to tell the truth. Ever since he joined Tianji Pavilion, Bai Xiaoyun had always been by his side to protect him. Jiangchen trusted him more than Lin Baichao and Song Yuanjia. The reason why he didn't say it before was because of his relationship with the white-robed immortal king. He didn't want to reveal all of his trump cards. But now that Bai Fingyu and Hikari were missing, Jiangchen couldn't care so much anymore. What young master? Bai Xiaoyun was shocked. Jiangchen briefly told Bai Xiaoyun about what happened during this period of time. What? Heaven and Earth Pharmacy and Ganges Bank are actually powers passed down from Tianji sect? Bai Xiaoyun's eyes widened. He walked to Jiangchen's side with his hands behind his back and said emotionally, Jiangchen, you've picked up a treasure! I was also very shocked when I first heard it. Jiangchen shrugged. It's really surprising. Bai Xiaoyun slowly digested this shocking news. In the immortal world, immortal emperors were the peak of cultivation. Even from the birth of the immortal world until now, the number of immortal emperors that appeared could only be counted on one hand. And now, there were no immortal emperors in this world. The strongest ones were the three immortal kings led by the white-robed immortal king and the Xianjun immortal king. Even though Emperor Qianji had already fallen. However, both the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy and the Ganges Bank were well-known forces in the entire North region. Ahem, now that you are in charge of the Ganges Bank, our Heavenly Secrets Pavilion will be able to live a good life. Bai Xiaoyun rubbed his chin and coughed lightly. Of course. Jiang Chen laughed. He knew that Bai Xiaoyun would always think for the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Furthermore, Jiang Chen was now the young master of Tianji sect. Bai Xianling, this per sect, was no longer in Jiang Chen's eyes. As for his daily expenses, he could easily fork out some immortal jades from the Tian Fu Bank. When the time came, he would take good care of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Not only would the immortal kings be his personal bodyguards, but he would also be able to please Bai Xianling. Maybe she would even give him the best immortal arts. Junior brother, I'm going to return to the sect after a while. Bai Xiaoyun walked around in the room. Why? Jiang Chen frowned slightly. Bai Xiaoyun, this dignified immortal king, was his biggest protective talisman. I'm going to return to the sect and recruit 2 or 3 new disciples. I'll let them take over your job and update the list, Bai Xiaoyun said. He realized that Jiang Chen was no longer the junior brother who had just entered the sect and didn't know anything. Even the forces under him were much stronger than the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Thank you, senior brother! Jiang Chen suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. The list had long been too lazy to update. If it was delayed any longer, the entire North region would be in chaos. Speaking of which, now that the Kunlun Celestial Mountain and the Ganges Bank have sent people out to inquire about the news, are we just going to sit here and wait for them? Bai Xiaoyun glanced outside. Inside the bank, there were already many people in black leaving one after another. These were the intelligence personnel who had received Song Yuanzhi's orders. What else can we do? Jiang Chen was a little helpless. With his current strength, it was impossible to find the exact location of the Black sect leader. Deduce it! Bai Xiaoyun stepped forward and reached out to hit Jiang Chen's head. He said, Now is the time for you to use your 10 directions deduction. Senior brother, please go out for a while. Jiang Chen's whole body froze. Ever since Bai Fengyu and Hikari disappeared, Jiang Chen's mind was in a mess, and he almost didn't think about it. Now that he heard Bai Xiaoyun's words, it was as if he was enlightened and reacted. Bai Xiaoyun didn't say much and immediately walked out and closed the door tightly. Jiang Chen sat cross-legged on the bed and mobilized his immortal qi to begin the 10 directions deduction, trying to deduce the location of Bai Fengyu and Hikari, as well as the situation they would face next. But when he was about to deduce Bai Fengyu and Hikari, he found that they were shrouded in a cloud of black fog. No matter how he mobilized his immortal qi, he couldn't determine their approximate location. He could only roughly know that they should be in the north region, but if he wanted to sense it, he couldn't deduce it. Phew! Jiang Chen exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, frowned slightly, and opened his eyes. Little girl, you can't enter casually. Outside the door, Bai Xiaoyun's voice sounded. He blocked in front of a girl and kept saying to stop her. If the other party wasn't a girl, he would have punched her. Who is it? Jiang Chen opened the door somewhat reluctantly. Just when he was worried, someone came knocking on his door. Jiang Chen, your disciple is in danger, right? The person standing outside was none other than Xiao Xiao, who had some interactions with Jiang Chen before. Her face was full of worry. When she saw Jiang Chen come out, she immediately asked, How did you know? Jiang Chen frowned and asked, Tell me first, right? Xiao Xiao continued to ask. Eldest senior brother, let her come in and talk. Although Jiang Chen didn't know how Xiao Xiao knew, he still said to Bai Xiaoyun and returned to the room. Xiao Xiao nodded to Bai Xiaoyun and hurried in. You're right, Hikari is indeed in danger. After glancing at her, Jiang Chen sat on the chair and said, He didn't have any good feelings for this woman. If it weren't for his curiosity, he would have driven her out. Then why are you still sitting here? Go out and find her. Xiao Xiao asked agitatedly. Little girl, you have to be responsible for your words. This should be the first time we've met. How did you know that Bai Fengyu and Hikari are missing? Quickly tell me the truth, or I'll make you disappear from Eternal River City. Bai Xiaoyun slammed the door shut and walked in front of Xiao Xiao. With a wave of his hand, a white sword appeared and directly pressed against Xiao Xiao's throat, You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.